All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will call this meeting of the Essex County Planning Commission to order. Welcome to everybody. Thanks for coming out. First up, we will have the roll call. Kelly?
Chairman David Jones.
Here.
Vice Chairman Angelo Stevens.
Here.
Bobby Todd.
Here.
Stephen Walters.
Here.
Lou Spencer.
Here.
And Wright Andrews.
Here.
Thank you, Kelly. Next up is the review of the meeting agenda. This month is July, so we will need to do elections. So I would like to add that, if that's okay, just before the public hearing part, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other considerations on the agenda?
I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda and approve it accordingly.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Kelly, next up is the consideration of the minutes. So first up would be the June 2nd, 2026 minutes. Did all members receive their packet in time to review the minutes? Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not,
I'll move that we approve the meeting minutes for June 2nd, 2026.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then Kelly, there was one small amendment to the May 5th, 26th.
Yes. On page 5, I highlighted it from the May 5th meeting. I left off the number 5 for the yays. It was blank.
Do
in
we
the
have a
voting.
motion to approve the May 5th minutes as
So moved.
corrected?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Kelly. So next up will be the elections. We will need to elect a chairman, a vice chair, and a secretary. So first up, I will accept nominations for the chairman.
I nominate-
the chairman that we currently have. He's been doing a pretty good job.
I agree.
Second.
Any other nominations? All right, the nomination is closed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Vice chair,
I nominate our Vice Chair, Angelo Stevens.
we have
Second.
thank you. Second, any other nominations? All right, nominations are closed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then last would be secretary, and that has to be Kelly. So I nominate Kelly.
Second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next up will be our public comment period. This is for anyone that wants to speak about anything that's not on the agenda, something other than what's on the agenda or one of the public hearings. So does anyone want to speak about anything other than what's on the agenda? Chuck, anybody online?
We're streaming so that they don't have any inbound communications.
Got it? Okay, then we will move on. First up, first public hearing we have is a conditional use permit for Ezzy Forest Exports LLC, care of Woodland Partnership. Conditional use permit request, a public hearing for the consideration of a conditional use permit request by Ezzy Forest Exports LLC, care of Woodland Partnership, pursuant to the Essex County Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance Article 5, Use Matrix, Section 36.311, Table 36.12, Sawmill, commercial, and Article 3, Division 5, conditional use permits for the proposed log purchasing and aggregation yard for log export on a defined and yet to be divided 7.46 acre area on tax map 60-86A, consisting of 80.86 acres, zoned A2, agricultural and forestry general within the Countryside Comprehensive Plan District located off Tidewater Trail, Route 17 on Montague Road within the South District Magical District. Brian, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Jones. As you indicated, this is a conditional use permit request. Conditional use permit request is not necessarily a rezoning, but it's a special permission that allows a use in a district that would not otherwise be allowed. As you indicated in that ad, we placed the use matrix section in there. The use matrix section in the zoning ordinance is what indicates whether it's a B for by right or a C for conditional. If that column is blank in the use matrix, it's not available as a use at all, whether conditional or by right. In this case, when you're a zoning staffer, you've got to find something that fits. People will come to you with the use that they desire, and we have kind of boxes, as you all know, and definitions for various uses, and some businesses are different and unique. And in this case, while this is not a sawmill per se, it did, as I indicated in the memo, meet some of the definitions of that commercial sawmill. So that's why it says that. Several people have called wondering if it's a sawmill or not. Another thing that you all are well aware of, because we've dealt with several conditional use permits recently, is unlike a rezoning, the county is allowed to establish conditions, which are not proffers in this case. They're conditions that can be assessed by the county, recommended by the planning commission, or at the board level, or both, that become binding to that use. In other words, if you are afraid something's going to become a sawmill and not just a log buying yard, as this request is asking, you can say this is conditioned, time of use, type of use, things of that nature. Those do run with the request, and whether it's bought or sold, those conditions would run with it. In this case, this project, this request is on a small area, as you see in that little kind of site graphic indicated. It's not on the whole entire parcel. If you do decide to make a recommendation tonight, one of my staff recommendations to you is that you make sure your motion indicates just that use area, if that's the part. That way it doesn't end up tying up the whole 80 acres. In a conditional use permit, just like a rezoning, we advertise all the adjacent property owners. That state code requires the abutter, what we call the abutters, the properties that actually touch the property or are across the street. Had a few people call, say they didn't get the letter. In a couple cases, Kelly and I found that they might have been just one property over or didn't quite touch. In some cases, the letters do go to who gets the tax bill. In some cases, that is not necessarily the family member who might live there or who might know. That's why lots of letters go out. That's why there's also an ad in the paper, so we make sure that everybody knows what's going on. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. It's not a perfect system, and the mail is not what it was when I started this career a long time ago. It used to be those letters got there in about 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it's 3 weeks, it seems. But with that, I'll answer any questions you all might have.
Brian, the site plan that you speak of, do they have that? Can they put that on the monitor? Or not?
I don't have this one. I have the one for the Linden House request.
Okay.
I did not. Carlos, if you could go to Montague, yeah, you've got it right there. That's the parcel. And if you zoom in, Carlos, to your bottom, kind of lower end of the parcel, the area we're talking about is kind of right to the left of where your cursor is right now.
The kind of triangular spot there.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
And that is on standards and procedures for conditional use permits. Number 4 says, all applicants must disclose equitable ownership of the real estate to be affected, including, corporate ownership, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can this parcel doesn't exist, right? What you're saying is a to be divided parcel. So, and since the CUP and the rights to operate a sawmill or woodyard is tied to the land, can we, are we approving this for this whole big piece, or are we just approving it for a to be determined parcel, which we don't know the ownership of, or the final ownership because it hasn't been recorded?
That's a good question, and that is something to watch for in both the equitable ownership and the use and where it is on the land, because it's all about the location. As we see in other aspects of the zoning, location, character, extent, that kind of gets drilled into your head. Can you approve a conditional use permit that is tied to just a small portion of a larger parcel? Yes. Could that portion later be divided, just that part that has that special use? Yes. I'm not an attorney, but that's generally how things work. If your language of your motion for approval, if that's what it is, and of course later at the board level, they would actually adopt a formal resolution, staff and the board will make careful that it refers to that exact area, especially with, you may want to have it even surveyed in. We dealt with that last night on the board of supervisors level with the rezoning, where it may be a split zoning, but it's going to be good to have in survey points to tie in exactly where that zoning exists and doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, and you have to have it surveyed, especially if you're subdividing it, right? If you're breaking
It's
up
my
your-
understanding that this area that we're talking about is currently being surveyed. I do not know if that survey is complete. It was not complete at the time of application.
And the application is based on the current owners. We don't know until the deed is recorded for that piece that we might recommend approval.
Well,
That
you're-
whether that's going to stay the same.
What you're referring to is a very important thing to keep in mind with any, whether it's a rezoning or a conditional use permit. Since it runs with the land, the current owner of any special permit like that or rezoning, it could be sold tomorrow as soon as the ink's dry. So you want to look less at the applicant and more at the application, so.
The use of the property.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Any other questions of Brian?
I think so. Access is off Montague Road,
Yes,
and that's a state road,
Yes.
State Route 680, if my research is
yes,
correct.
yep.
Do we have an idea of what the noise control and the operating hours are going to be?
We do not. That's, I think the applicants are here, so that might be a question that might best be asked of them once you've heard your public comments.
And then when it comes to Montague Road, that road's in right rough shape. Do we have an idea of what kind of traffic and heavy haul concerns, how many trips per day, that type of thing?
You have an approximate in your application on that.
Okay.
You know, I'm not a expert on road surface, road deck, what it can withstand. That's probably for somebody else to determine.
And this site shown on the map, how far is that from the river?
Carlos, if you don't mind, you can zoom out and we can measure that real quick, and that's gonna be pretty close. It's, I would guess about 1.2, 1.5 miles if we'll see if I'm right.
And then, I guess the applicant can describe whatever environmental protection and water quality control measures will be implemented.
Yes, for any land disturbance there, if it's over an acre, it's gonna require, what's your distance there, Carlos?
1.6, I think it's there.
What is it?
I was hoping your eyes were better.
1.6.
1.6,
1.6, yeah,
That's pretty
good,
close.
good.
Tenth
Okay.
of a mile off, I don't know how I did that. The Virginia Stormwater Management Program is gonna be implemented if it's over an acre of disturbance to create a pad, gravel pad and all that. That has some pretty strict rules. Virginia Stormwater Program's pretty tight. We do not implement the stormwater program. We handle the erosion sediment control program and the Bay Act program, so.
And there's no agricultural exemption for that?
There would not be, because it's not the harvesting or manipulation of the crop. It's
Okay.
the actual processing part and marketing of the crop.
All right,
Your
again, I
mileage, there
apologize.
again, a lawyer might argue different, but as a staff person, I would say, and that's one other thing I want to clear up too. The old ordinance that we had prior to 2022, the old zoning ordinance, did offer sawmills, forestry offices, things like that as by right uses. With your 2022 zoning code change, that went away. And I reread it a little while ago just to make sure I was right on that. So that's, you see some other, just in case anyone says, hey, there's an A2 parcel that's got a commercial sawmill on it right now. Well, yeah, that's true, because that was by right prior. So that can continue to operate. So now it's conditional use.
And then fire prevention, fire hazards and storage. It looks like where this is located, are we gonna be able to achieve the proper setback requirements for lumber stacks and bark and finished mulch from property lines as well as designated buffer zones?
I don't know if we have and as you saw in the zoning ordinance, it's kind of scant as far as having requirements or setbacks for this use.
Okay.
So that might be something that needs to be established in the future. We don't have those exactly codified at this time.
And then as far as site buffering, if this is the spot, how many of those trees are actually gonna stay as a buffer?
I did not see that specified in the application. That's a good thing to come out of the conditional use permit process to try to, once you hear public comment, what the issues are, and try to find out what buffer's gonna work. I recommend buffers in almost any use. I think buffers not only are visually pleasing, but they help with noise, they help with dust. Even for stores and shops, I think there should be a lot more planted buffers to help. You go to a place like James City County, Williamsburg, you look at the amount of trees that are in those parking lots and all those grocery stores and stuff down there. That's not accidental, that's the code of that area to make it visually pleasing and also soak up water and all that good stuff.
Okay. All right, I think maybe the rest of my questions are for the applicant.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Brian, I rode down there, because I've gotten a lot of calls on this, and looked at that, and that is one sorry road, that's the first thing I'll say, if you call it a road. I just got through, or my neighborhood just got through a logging operation where they had 2 to 3 of the big logging trucks running. That lasted about 3 or 4 weeks, and they took a lot of logs out of my area. It was loud, and it really did tear up our sorry little road, which is paved. You know, it's gonna need to be clearly taken care of. And down this little road, I would consider it absolutely unsuitable in current condition for a big log trucks to be running down this road's not made for it. It's already got potholes everywhere, and it just doesn't fit. Another reason the road doesn't fit, and I was checked on this with some other folks, that when you get to the end of it, and you would turn right in the truck. If you want to go that way, there's no exchange area where you can just go right across, okay? You would have to go up. Some of the farmers now that are down there, they tell me it takes, you gotta go up 3 more crossroads there, so you could really have a safe place. Because turning the big trucks out there on 17 is not, an easy thing to do. And here, I think you would have an awful lot of them running through there. So that is something that really has to be taken into consideration. But the thing that worries me most, I mean, I like the operation as such. I think it's good. We could have another business here and so forth and so on. But it goes right through little neighborhoods. And some of the houses are as close as from here to that exit sign, if not more. Those poor people are going to have noise, big noise, running trucks right by. It looks like they've had a pretty peaceful existence up to now. There's no way they can get it, just with the trucks running. And you also are going to have, I'm assuming, I'm not a forester or any of this thing, but I'm assuming that they're going to take the bark off of the trees and they'll have some kind of operation for selling that, because you do everything you can to do that. So I don't know how much debarking, I don't know the noise level and all of that. But, you know, unless I can be shown otherwise, I think it's a good idea in a totally improper place.
Any other questions for Brian? Brian, who's gonna represent the owner tonight, or the applicant?
I'm not sure.
Who's gonna represent the applicant tonight? Well, please come forward, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Go right ahead.
I'm here to answer any questions. I believe you have a few. I will just emphasize again, this is not a sawmill. They will not be cutting logs into boards, any shape or form. This is an export yard. They plan on loading logs as they come in into containers, and those containers will be shipped down to the Newport News shipyard, and they will be overseed. That's the intention. So equipment-wise, they'll be using a loader. I believe there's some pictures in your packet that shows you the operation. They'll be loading the containers. They just, quite frankly, shove them into the containers until they're full, and they close the doors, and then they go on their trucks down the road. To answer the question about the intersection, Montague Road has a crossover there, would be the proper place to come in and out. So there should not be any issue with the cross on 17 going in and out off of the main highway there. The property is being currently surveyed. They just finished up the location for drain field. So we had to get that in before we surveyed it to make sure that got encompassed. So there is a site that does perk that has been certified, and now the drain field plan has been made. So now it can be surveyed, so it should be surveyed next week and finished. So that can be provided, but we just had to wait until the place for drain field was going to be. We just did not know exactly how that was going to lay out, but it has been laid out now. So those were some of the issues you brought up. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer.
Lou, did he satisfy your questions?
Well, like Wright said, when you travel on Montague Road, that road's in rough shape. And I think I saw the entrance to this site. How are large trucks going to get in and out? Are we going to widen that entrance?
The entrance is we decided 50 feet wide, so to make sure that there's plenty of access that a tractor trailer can turn into there off of that road.
Okay.
Excuse me, what about the road itself?
That's a VDOT issue. It's a state-maintained road, and that can be addressed through VDOT.
But I guess
So it's not-
it's really not suitable, at least I don't think. You know, from right now, then they would have to do significant upgrades to the road.
VDOT does run a program, their 6-year program about paving roads that aren't currently paved. That's a possibility. But I can't stand here and tell you that will happen. I don't have that
6 years,
authority.
they're gonna be out there stuck in the mud digging holes through, and
It is a VDOT maintained road. It's not a private road, so none of the owners on that road have any obligation to maintain or fix that road. That's a VDOT state highway. It actually was Old 17 at one time. If you go back to the 30s, that was the original Route 17. So it's the best I can answer, Mr. Andrews, so.
So John, can you describe the noise control and the operating hours?
Operating hours, again, was included in the packet in the application, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., normal working hours, not weekends, is the plan. The purchaser of the property doesn't see any reason to go, beyond that. So it'd be just normal business operating hours.
And the decibel limits for any of the heavy machinery, will there or will there not be debarkers on?
There will be a debarker. There is cases where some of the markets that require that the logs be debarked for sanitation reasons, and they don't want to bring bugs to wherever. So if I had to make an estimate, maybe 10% of logs would need that. They would have a small mini debarker. I think I showed a picture of that, was also in your packet.
You did.
So not a huge device, it's not sawmill size or anything like that. It's a very small device, but they would need to do a little bit of debarking. But best guess is about 10%.
We talked about traffic and heavy hauling concerns. What about EMS access in case there's some type of an accident when we have to get EMS in?
Again, there'd be a 50-foot access road into the property. So that should give that plenty of access for fire, trucks, ambulance, et cetera. If a tractor trailer can get in there, I would assume that all the fire department equipment should be able to make it through as well.
And then what I mentioned to Brian was describing environmental protection and water control measures such as petroleum oil leaks, controlling water runoff, that type of thing.
That would be the responsibility of the export owner. He's gonna buy the land, so it would be the new owner's responsibility. That would be through DEQ. Their regulations would have to be followed.
Let me just add, I understand that there are a couple of ponds, I don't know how large they are in the area, and I was told this could have runoff there, but I don't.
There is one creek on the back side of the property that I'm aware of on that 80 acres. So if the ponds are there, and you can see the drainages are in red. There's flowing water on the one to the north. The one in the middle there is dry, but does drain water. But there's no stream there. But there is one stream on the north side. As for ponds, they're further down, probably 3/4 of a mile away.
How many jobs will this probably be implemented in this area?
Probably 2 or 3.
2 or 3 jobs?
Yeah, you
Job-
just need a loader operator to load in there. There's some ancillary jobs, truck drivers, things like that, that would be as well, but they would be contractors, not part of the company.
Right.
And there's a building planned,
Small office building would be planned there as well,
like about 1,000 square feet?
probably less than that,
Yeah.
maybe 500 or 600 square feet. Some restroom facility there, an office to put a desk, but that's about it.
Bobby, any questions?
No, not at this time.
Any other questions?
I just mentioned, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just mentioned earlier about dust control, dust accumulation. Are there going to be any dust control systems on site?
I suppose that between gravel that would be put out on the wood yard would be a way to control dust. If there are any requirements for a tree line buffer that's required by zoning ordinance or whatever, setbacks that the trees could maintain, could provide that buffer for noise as well as dust.
And then I guess my last question is, we're saying this is really not a sawmill, but under the statewide fire code, and Brian, I don't know, we don't need an answer tonight, but I mean, chapter 28 for lumber yards, is that applicable?
I'll get back to you on that.
Again, there's no lumber there. It would be strictly logs. And in the export business, the load of logs would come in,
Get one in a
and as
container?
fast as they can put it in that trailer and get it down the road. They're not gonna be stacked for any length of time. Don't need to be.
John, are you
Yeah.
gonna have 40-foot-long trucks, 20-foot long, 40?
Tractor trailers, full tractor trailers. Same box trucks you see running up and down the road.
Any other questions at this time? Anybody? Thank you, John. Appreciate it. So next up, I would ask for a motion to go into public hearing for the public input part of this session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we are now in the public input part. I do have a sign-up sheet that we'll go down, and if someone wishes to speak that didn't sign up, we're usually pretty flexible with that. We do have a couple of rules we like to stick by. Number one is when the person is speaking, we would like for everyone else to be quiet. Give that person a chance to speak. No clapping, no booing, no hissing. We want to be quiet, be respectful of everybody that's speaking. Everyone will get 3 minutes, and when you get close to the 3 minutes or over the 3 minutes, I'll give you a little nod to wind it up, but we want everybody that wants to speak. We do. And so with that, we will start. First up that signed up is Barb Junk. You have the floor. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
I'll just start while my husband's doing
Yes,
the
ma'am.
handing.
Go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Barb Jump.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barb Jump.
Thank you, sir.
My background is in public health. I've worked for the Department of Health and Human Services, the National Institutes of Health, the Centers for Disease Control. I'm board certified in public health by the National Board of Public Health Examiners. I'll be talking about public health tonight. When I say noise pollution poses a real danger to the people living on Montague Road, I say it as a fact, a scientific fact. It's unbiased. I'm going to play 4 recordings, okay? It's just coming over my computer here, but on those handouts that Bob just handed out, I have more over here. There are QR codes. You can scan the QR code when you get home and hear the exact same sounds I'm playing for you tonight on this computer, okay? So if you don't hear it real well where you're sitting, take one of the pieces of paper home, scan the QR code, you can hear it, it's plain as day. Okay, so the first recording is of 2 types of the industrial equipment that were submitted with the conditional use permit. These are the pictures that I took out of this application. One is a debarker, okay?
Ms. Junk?
Yes.
You need to speak to us, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. One is the debarker, that was in the proposal, you'll have it, you all probably have it. One is the wheel log loader, the front loader, okay? So these are the 2 pieces of equipment we're gonna listen to. Here's the Mollet Ross head debarker. Debarker sounds like. Here's the John Deere wheeled loader. That's what it sounds like. The backup beeps from the John Deere loader are at 90 to 95 decibels. The Mullet Rosser head debarker, that's the one submitted in the proposal. Decibel levels on that run about 90 to 95. The diesel engine alone on that John Deere front loader runs about 105 decibels. Any decibel level over 80 to 85 is a danger. It's a public health danger, okay? And anything repeatedly over those decibel levels is a public health danger. Here are a couple other log trucks getting up to speed. That's a fully loaded log truck getting up to speed. Takes about a mile for it to get up to speed. Here's another fully loaded diesel Peterbilt. That's what it sounds like getting up to speed. So imagine all of those noises from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. When I say it's a public health hazard, I mean that it causes stress. It causes a rise in your cortisol levels. When you're stressed and your cortisol levels rise, that is hard on your heart if you have a heart problem. It's hard on stress. If you have a stress, it causes sleep disturbances. It causes dementia if you're stressed and your blood pressure is raised for an extended period of time. It causes a weakened immune system. And so I'm not just making this up. You can read the report that is noted in your handouts from the American Public Health Association. Many, many pages that prove over and over again loud noises, exposure to loud noise that you cannot escape, that you would be subject to if you lived on Montague Road, day in and day out, would cause these public health hazards. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Can I ask a
Ms.
question?
Jump?
You refer to the decibel levels of each individual
Yes.
equipment. At what distance from the equipment?
Those are at 50 feet.
50 feet. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking. I should have said that.
Next up is Joven Dunn. Good evening.
Good evening. I want to come and address some concerns, and if you look at the picture on the wall, the 7.46 acres that is up for discussion, both backs and sides my property. I am currently at 925 Montague Road, so literally in my backyard. I just want to be very clear that this is not something that neither myself nor my mother, who is also a resident of that property, wish to have in our immediate vicinity. We have livestock on that property. There's a concern. The road that is allowing these vehicles in, if you look at that picture, the left corner is where the road crosses the backside of my property. All the open space on both the back and the side are pastures for our livestock. That is a concern for us, for the safety of our animals. The health issues have already been addressed, but my biggest concern is the roadway that you previously spoken about. At best, Montague Road is a little extra wide, single lane. It is not a depth for two vehicles to be traveling, passing. There's no way, unless you pull in somebody's driveway, there's nowhere for you to go. If you meet a tractor and trailer on that road, a log truck on that road, you have no exit. There's no variance. You have to pull into somebody's yard to get away from those vehicles. The weight restriction on that road, typically for, according to VDOT, for a secondary gravel road in the state of Virginia is 80,000 pounds. That's gonna be at the top end of some of these log trucks, depending on the axle and the weight that's carrying. We've heard it's 150 potentially in and out. That's 300 passes of a truck in and out of that road. That's concerning. We've heard about 6-year program for VDOT to maintain this road. 6 years is a long time for us as residents to deal with this. And yes, it's not our place or our responsibility to maintain this road, but it is our road. And it's what we have to use every day, in and out. And I do think it is an error in judgment for us not to be considered, for our opinions to not be considered even prior to the conditional use being submitted. I understand that there's this is personal property and it doesn't affect a place as a board member, but it is still something that we as an everyday individual, a resident, a taxpayer, we're gonna have to deal with this every day. My other concern is expansion. This is a conditional use permit for 7.46 acres. What happens when they want to expand? Because you have 80 acres there to do that. That's a concern for me. My parents have had this property for 20+ years. And the idea of this being in our backyard is very disturbing. I've been in public service for 31 years. That road, I've heard mention of rescue squads and fire trucks. You're not gonna get a rescue squad or a fire truck past a log truck on that road. The vehicle I drive is an Explorer, which is traditionally typical size for an emergency vehicle in law enforcement. There's only 6 feet of variance between the exterior tire and the ditch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up would be Valerie Burkett. Welcome.
Hi.
Good evening.
I thought that was a sign-up sheet for being present, but
Well, you did both. You're president.
there
and gonna
are
speak.
several things that I have heard that I find that I don't agree with. A 50-foot road, it may be a 50-foot right-of-way, but there's not 50 feet wide usable road to drive on. There's no way that two private vehicles can just drive down the road and meet each other. You just can't do it. It's not wide enough. You have to pull off, and if there's no ditch there, then you're okay. You can pull off. But if there's ditch there, somebody either has to back up, stop, go around, do something. I've had to do it several times. I don't live on Montague Road, but I own property on Montague Road, and I have several friends down there, and I'm down there a lot. So I have traveled that road quite a bit. It is not possible if you meet a log truck on there. Somebody's gonna have to back up. Now, is it gonna be the people who live there daily, or is a log truck gonna back up? It's just totally impossible, and it's a terrible road, and I appreciate Mr. Andrews bringing it up, because it is not the type of road that could handle that kind of traffic. And I also, unless I misunderstood, there is not a crossover from Montague Road crossing over 17 to turn to go south, unless I misunderstood what was said. One end of it, you go out and it tees into 17, and you have to turn right to come north, and you have to go a few hundred feet, I don't know how to measure feet, to make a left, to make a U-turn to go south on 17. The other way out that comes out to Mount Prospect Road, you have to make a left to get to 17, and then there is a crossover there. But that you have to get on Mount Prospect Road first. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Catherine Crom, or Corn? No, ma'am? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we
Yes.
go on, I wanted to ask that speaker and the previous speaker a question. Are there any plans to improve this road? I'm with Wright. I drove down this, I visited the site twice, and the road is in horrible shape. But are there any plans to improve it? Is anybody in the neighborhood in contact with VDOT?
Yes, I have called them today, and as of right now, there's nothing on their book.
Yes, sir.
I've lived there for going on 3 years, and the gentleman right there, that's my neighbor, and he's lived there longer, and I know since I've been there, I've only ever seen VDOT drop gravel on it one time, in almost 3 years. And when they dropped the gravel, they drug more than half of it and put it back in the ditch. So, I mean,
So
when you
next
got
up,
potholes that are that big, I mean,
I know.
so next up would be Wanda Randolph. Welcome, Ms. Randolph.
I likewise thought it was a sign-up sheet for attendance, but I want to use this opportunity not to echo what's already been said, but I do also appreciate what Mr. Andrews said about the residents being able to live in peace. So I want to speak from that standpoint, because my mother and I have lived on Montague Road. She's been there for over 50 years. I was 5 years old, and I'm 55 now, and she's 80. And I do believe that there should have been more consideration, as was mentioned, for the residents there, most of whom are older, that should be able to live in peace, that should not have to wake up to a log truck and go to bed with a log truck, because 7 to 5 may be the operating hours, but we don't know if they're going to work outside of those hours. We've talked about the noise pollution, which I'm concerned about. I don't want my mom at this age to start having health concerns. The water pollution, potentially, I'm concerned about. The dust pollution, not just from the business, from the trucks going up and down the road. Anyone can tell you, a car can speed by and your car is covered with dirt. I don't want my mom to come outside and start having breathing problems because of that. So I would just ask that you all just really take the human aspect of this, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the business, and I agree with Mr. Andrews, is that it's a legitimate business, wrong location. So that's all I want to say, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Carlos, can we zoom in? That's good, thank you.
Next up would be Will Carter. Good evening, sir. We're good, sir.
First, I want to say, I've been doing construction and highway maintenance for over 15 years. That road is unsatisfactory to the utmost. I rode down it, I live on the front side of 17. The widest part on that road is 17 foot wide. The road itself is right at 1.25 miles lengthwise. The average width of a log truck is 18 foot. Just like everyone else said, if you meet somebody down there, if a truck is coming, you have nowhere to turn. Granted, if someone has to call EMS and there's an emergency at someone's house and they meet a log truck, a family member passes away. I mean, those are things that should be taken in consideration when stuff as this is implemented into a private residence. I also took it upon myself to take pictures. I can have those scanned to you, emailed to you, however you want it, of the condition of the road. It's overgrown. I will let you know the 6-year plan that he was talking about is only for chip seal and asphalt paved roads. It's not for gravel. And cutting back of any vegetation on that road, it is also restrictions on that because of bats. They have bat season when you can't do any kind of cutting on any kind of trees. It's called the northern sharp-eared bat, if you want to look it up. It's actually a thing.
I brought one home as a pet when I went.
But the drainage issue on that road is terrible, and if you look to the left of where that triangle is, it's actually a pond right there, and the name of the pond is, I have it written down, Cedar Creek Pond. It's to the left of that triangle, and that bleeds right into the McCann Bay. So any kind of runoff that this mill produces is going right to the bay. It's not going to be a way to cut it off because you're going to have real erosion everywhere. And he's going to be clear cutting because everything's grown up there. So you're going to have to clear cut to get any kind of skidder. Whatever he proposes to bring back there, it's going to have to be clear cut. It's not wide enough. So you're just opening up a can of worms, in my opinion, if you let it come in. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Mr. Gary Graham, you would be next. Welcome.
Gary Grab. I live on Montague Road. We live on Mount Prospect Road. Very familiar with Montague Road. I don't want to beat it to death, but the road issue is my biggest concern. You look at the size of a tractor trailer going down the road, and we've all talked about how bad the road is. I have seen VDOT out there probably once a year, depending on heavy rainfalls, that they'll try to regrade with the grader, but it never really makes much improvement. What they said about the banks on both sides and ditches, you cannot really widen the thing. But looking at a tractor trailer trying to move down that road, you're coming off of Montague. If you're coming from the north side, you cross that Montague Road, you can come in and you make a 90-degree turn on, coming on Prospect Road, you make a 90-degree turn on Montague Road. That is going to be a difficult turn for a tractor trailer. You look at the other end of the road coming out by Jerry Ferguson Seafood, there are two 90-degree turns to get out that way, and a tractor trailer will not make those turns without swinging wide and going over. You're going to have to widen that both ways. From a safety standpoint, if this was on 17 and a new business, there probably had to be a deceleration lane. There really isn't. You can't put one on the south side by Jerry Ferguson Seafood because it's property right up against the road. You can't expand on that. And so trying to bring a tractor trailer in from the south side, you would have to swing into the passing lane on 17 to make that first turn in. That's the only way you're gonna get it. And then you're really gonna have a tough time making the next 90-degree turn. You don't really have it on the map, but that's down to the bottom of it. If you've been on the road, you know what I'm talking about. And on the, you almost have it. Not quite. But on the north end, back to Montague and Mount Prospect Road, if you had a decel lane, which you really should have that if you're gonna have those trucks coming in, it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna be hard pressed to stay in the one lane without coming out in the secondary lane to make that turn. And then you're making an immediate U-turn. If you look at that direction, it's maybe 50 feet all told between 17 and Montague Road that you have to turn. That's gonna be a really tough turn. And you will never have two trucks passing on that road. So in my mind, VDOT should be here to address what it's gonna cost to make these decel lanes. You can't do it on the south entrance. So you would actually need to make the road one way if you're even thinking about the logistics of the whole thing. That you come in one direction, one way into their yard, and then one direction out the bottom. But then coming out the bottom, then you have the access problem with the two 90-degree turns. It's totally, I would say, in my mind, totally unachievable without spending a lot of money from VDOT. And Barb mentioned the acceleration of a truck. You know, there's a lot of slow-moving vehicles around there. There's farmers' equipment and so forth, so you have to be aware of what's going on. But you really need to stay in the one lane and not be going out into the passing lane to make a right-hand turn. That just is not safety or not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grab. Next up would be Susan Grab.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, my name's Sue Grab, and I live on Mount Prospect with Gary. Over many years, maybe 30, I've walked, biked, cross-country skied on Montague Road, but really, it's a lane by definition, short, rural, and quiet residential passage. We keep calling it a road. It's a lane. Although there are potholes from residential vehicles now, the gravel Montague Road is tranquil, mostly tree-lined with a few horses looking on. Shade in the summer provides a peaceful place to bicycle ride and walk. What will the road condition be like with logging trucks? And particularly, how's it going to affect the residents? Yesterday, I probably wouldn't be up here, except yesterday, for the first time while riding my bike, I experienced a sobering encounter. A cab of a tractor trailer, the size of a logging truck, was traveling on this road with ditches on either side and only several feet of road on either side. Fortunately, it had rained the night before, so it wasn't dusty. I can only imagine the dust created by logging trucks on a dry road and how it would affect homes and cars. Although I was aware of the debarking proposal being right beside this massive truck, made me wonder, how on earth could a logging truck and an oncoming vehicle safely pass? Well, it can't. It can't be. There's only room for one logging truck. I guess it would have to be made, as Gary said, one way. And certainly, so at least an ambulance could get through safely. The road is the same width all the way down. There aren't necessarily pull-offs unless there's a driveway, and then or a ditch. And the driveways are usually 90 degrees. And these houses aren't back in the woods. They're right up on the road, like right there. The sight of this enormous truck seemed really out of place and inappropriate on this lane, and indeed it is. People have their homes along Montague Road, and this business is unsuitable for this community. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just for the record, this is an actual photograph. It's an actual photograph, but
That
just.
I happened to take yesterday.
My question is, I just wanted the record to.
Oh,
reflect
yes,
this
an
is not-
actual, it is.
It's not doctored in any way.
Oh, my gosh, no.
Okay,
I-
that's
no.
all I wanted to do. I just,
No,
I just
it is-
wanted to clarify.
It's, I happen, yes.
Thank you.
Most of us these days don't know how to doctor it. Thank you, Ms. Graham. Next up is I.C. Smith. Welcome, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I stand with every single resident that lives on Montague Road or the properties adjacent to it, this property, in opposition to this proposal. Now, listen, I don't begrudge Mr. Magruder to make a profit off of his property there, that a few years ago, he actually went out and harvested some trees, and for several days there, we were subjected to screaming of saws and trucks going in and out and stuff like that, but we knew this was going to be short-lived, because he does have that right, but he doesn't have the right to build a permanent facility there for his self-enrichment for the detriment of the residents in that area as well. But basically, I have three fundamental reasons for this, my opposition. Of course, we've talked a lot about the noise and the pollution of the trucks entering and departing the area, and it's simply unhealthy, which I might add, the majority of the residents in that area are elderly, including myself. And debarking is not quite. You've seen that as well. Chainsaws, debarking equipment, heavy equipment, all of this contribute to this noise pollution as well as the raised dust and the stacked gas and stuff like that. Now, we've talked a lot about Montague Road being a narrow, essentially one-lane road. It's not designed for large trucks and heavy equipment. Indeed, if two cars meet, one has to get in the edge of the ditches so to get past one another as well. The road is maintained by VDOT, but it's something of an afterthought. It's ditches. I don't even remember the last time the ditches have been cleared on that road or something like that, because it floods, and the entrance to the property that we were discussing has been used in this past has never been cleared, because there's no culverts or anything there, so you have trucks running across basically what's the ditch it. And by the way, that area floods after any rain of any size as well. Now, this past Sunday, I drove from Mount Prospect to Clover Lane. That's what it was, 1.6 miles, that's what it was. I counted 26 potholes in that small area there. But one other thing that no one has mentioned is the fact of depressed property values. Now, surely Mr. Magruder and Mr. Wynn aren't going to argue that having a loud facility next door to their homes with noisy, polluting vehicles passing by during the day, stirring up and damaging road wouldn't impact on their property values there as well. To do so would be the height of hypocrisy. Now, in the proposal, it's noted that the level of impact on the surrounding property is minimal. Frankly, the absurdity of that statement is laughable. Back in my days when I was in Washington, it would said to be not past the red face test. How can a steady flow of log trucks, machinery running several hours a day, the pollution caused by the dust and the stacked gas from the trucks there, by depressing property values, be considered minimal? As it noted that it's expected that 150 containers of logs would be shipped out monthly, with operations, as noted, between 7 and a.m. and 5 p.m. 5 days a week. Well, on average, there are 22 work days a month. That means there would be 4 to 5 containers going out of that property each and every day. And then that doesn't take into account those log trucks going in and returning empty or something like that. Frankly, the absolute absurdity of that minimal impact statement can't be overstated there as well. I'd make one last comment. Mr. Magruder and Mr. Wynn had a sense of responsibility. They'd withdraw this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Conrad Lucy.
I'm not going to speak because all my offices have this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. I heard Mr. Owens, Braden Owens.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good evening.
I live on Montague. Like I said, I've lived there for 2.5 years now. And I moved away from all the hustle and bustle, all the noise, all the heavy equipment. I work in Richmond 6 to 7 days a week. I don't want to listen to that when I come home and I kick my feet up at the end of the busy day. I want to sit there and eat dinner with my wife and listen to nothing, you know. The bugs, the frogs, I want to hear that. I don't want to hear a front end loader, you know, like that gentleman spoke on property value. I bought my house at a certain price. I have done certain upgrades to my home to make it better and likable for me. So therefore, is it going to put me in a situation where now I have to quick sell my home? Am I going to lose out on potential money for a better home for when, you know, kids and everything like that? I have nieces and nephews. What is the safety aspect when my niece and my nephew come over and they want to throw the ball in the front yard? And I have to tell them, oh, watch out, here he comes, and we have to go inside. How is that fair to a little kid? It's not. How is it fair to me that I have to listen to a sawmill or whatever you want to call it? How is that fair to me? Again, I bought my home for the sole fact it is in the country and it is away from everything. It is far enough away from everything, but close enough that I can get to wherever I need to go. It's the fact that we were not even asked, you know, hey, what is your opinion? Like, what is your feedback before this even got brought up here? Again, I'm in my 20s. Like, everybody that lives on the road is elderly, but I'm looking at it for a long-term thing. Like, I'm in my 20s now. I don't want to leave, but if this goes through, it's going to force me out. And I don't appreciate that because you're forcing me back into the noise that I got away from, that I brought my family out of. The road is, again, the road is terrible. From my edge of my driveway to the other side of the ditch, I measured it with a roll counter, zeroed it out, 14.5 foot. So when they were talking about the 50-foot clearance, if you zoom in to where that little pie piece is, again, I live at 742. That little curve that's right there, when Will was talking about the overgrownness, if you slide over to your left a little bit, so everybody, let's talk about this curve. It's so overgrown, it's almost a blind curve. Again, I'm recently married. I love my wife to death. How am I going to have to explain to my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, hey, something happened and she got hit head-on by a log truck? It happens every day. Accidents happen. How am I going to explain that? Because somebody wants to make a few $1,000s? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. The lady that talked about the horses. I bought my house for the sole fact that my wife loves horses. She comes in that way, spends an extra 10 minutes going as slow as molasses just to look at her horses. So now what? You're forcing her to get rid of her livestock. It's not fair. I don't care about the money. People live on the road for quiet. So what's next? Okay, they clear the 100 acres. Then what? We gonna put a data center on it? The data centers everywhere else? What's stopping that? It's just really think about everything that everybody's saying, please.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Was there anyone else that did not sign up that would like to speak?
I would like to say something.
Come forward, please. State your name, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Braylon. This is my first time doing one of these, so if I'm a little nervous, I'm sorry. Well, I was just worried about the animals in the area because we've already seen plenty of animals. We've seen like 2 foxes. We've heard a big pack of coyotes, and we even saw a bobcat in our backyard. Now, where are these animals going to go when these log trucks come in with all of the noise, with all of the disturbing of their habitat? They might come right to us. Like, that's kind of my main concern is animals potentially coming into our yard and disturbing us. Because again, me and my family, we may be able to protect ourselves, but like all these other people were saying, they're older. They shouldn't have to worry about these sorts of things. Am I allowed to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're strict, but not that strict. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this matter? All right, if not, I will ask for a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did anyone have any questions to Mr. Magruder or Brian?
Well, yeah, I do, John, if you wouldn't mind. We've heard all the comments tonight. Can we zoom out? And I want to ask in a public setting, is it possible on this property to choose a different site and come in off of Prospect Road?
Not off of Prospect Road. The property does not touch. None of the 80 acres touches Prospect.
Okay. So pretty much that, we're using Montague
Correct.
to access this property.
Recently, we just thinned 19 acres in the back, so log trucks have used that road. That timber was cleared, 80 acres was cleared. Back about 8-9 years ago, log trucks have used that road before, in and out. True Point was very temporary, so it ended after the logging operation was done. So valid point that was made. So that was very temporary. These would be trucks coming in every day, valid point. So, but that road has had tractor trailer traffic on it multiple times, and most recently this past winter and fall.
So there again, another hypothetical, if VDOT made improvements to that road, trimmed the trees when the bats aren't in season and reconstructed drainage ditches, et cetera, and we had an entrance that had visibility to get the trucks in and out safely. I'm just curious from the opposition if the opposition is still there. In other words, to make the road wider and make the place more accessible, we're going to be doing a lot of clearing. So is the opposition opposed to improving the road? That's what we wrestle with.
There was a question about coming in from the south side. Absolutely right. There's not enough turning radius to come in there. They would not be coming in that way. They would be coming in from Mount Prospect and coming down that. That's the way the log trucks came in and out. So, but coming in from the south entrance, it's a 90-degree turn. You're not going to make those 2 90-degree turns. That is a correct statement.
That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Just to clarify, I think you just said that they were coming in from Mount Prospect, and I wanted to make sure you didn't mean Montague.
They'll come in from Mount Prospect, it's about 50 feet, and then they turn right onto Montague Road.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, this is not my project. The new landowner approached me about this piece of property. The location is perfect for him for shipping down to Norfolk, straight down 17. So he approached me. He is from Texas. Operations from there is just getting too expensive to ship from the Gulf ports. It's actually 3 times as much to ship, so he wants to come to Virginia where he can ship out of Norfolk. It's just more efficient, less costly for him. It's about 1/3 less. So that's why he likes the location. So he approached me about the location. he will become the new owner. It's not for me to own, it is his operation. He will own that free and clear. So, if that helped clarify as well. So, once that ownership changes, but I'm the applicant on record because he's waiting to hear if this does get approved, then he'll purchase. He doesn't want to purchase if he's not going to be able to set up a business there. So if this fits the location, and based on the comments you heard tonight, and it's acceptable to you, then it goes to the board of supervisors, and if they approve, then fine. If they don't approve or you don't approve, so be it. And that's your prerogative. So, but that ownership will not be, it's not going to be leased. It's not going to change. And it will only be that 7 to 8 acres, 7.5 acres that gets surveyed out. The rest of the land stays in forest and we'll grow trees. And the reason it's at that location is also, for clarification, a lot of that land will not perk. So, but there is a perk site on that side. There's the right soil for it. But a lot of the land, because we did look at other locations on the property that just would not perk. So that was the place we could find a perk site, because they are going to need a small amount of water and have the septic there as well. Any other questions?
When you, the earlier logging operations, how long did they last, roughly?
Less than a month was the most recent one.
Okay.
The larger one was probably 6 weeks.
Okay.
But it was a very short duration.
Yeah, good.
All good? Thank you.
Hey, Brian. So just for curiosity, on A2, to subdivide that property, what is the by right acreage?
On A2 property, there are 5 by right uses if the property has not been divided since February 17th, 1988.
But if somebody wanted to purchase it and turn it into lots to sell for homes?
Yeah,
What
they
is
would
the
have
by
5
right?
by right uses for that parcel.
Well, what size lot, what could they subdivide it, is what I'm asking?
What could they?
Yeah, in other words, there's 87 acres there, how many lots can they get out of A2?
Because it's A2 countryside, major subdivision is not permitted in the zoning ordinance, so 5 is all you could ever get
So-
unless you
so
rezone
5
it.
lots.
Mhm.
And it's 5 acres, but the minimum lot size is an acre, so you can have 1 lot per 5 acres. And this is
Correct, yeah, we have a
something
density
wrestle with
requirement.
a lot, so if you had 20
Mhm.
acres, you could get 4 houses, right? And then, but you could have 4 1-acre lots and then 1,
Large lot.
yeah, 1 remainder lot.
Correct, yeah.
Basically.
It's kind of the average, you could have a.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
but then he has to keep track of that because then.
We've been down that road.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I
Okay.
get the, I'm, without exaggeration, Kelly can confirm it for you if you think I'm exaggerating. About every 10 minutes all day long, somebody calls me and says, hey, I own this parcel, how many lots can I get? I literally get that several times an hour, all day long. And they never know about the parent tract and all that stuff, but it's a lot of forensics that goes into answering that question. I'll tell people, you know, that it could take me 2 days to be able to answer that question sometimes, but
Any
it's
other questions for
Yes.
Brian?
5 lots.
What can we do about this road to make it better?
So there are several things that can be done with the road. There is the smart scale process, but that's really not going to apply here because it's, as somebody previously indicated, the type of use of the road, the fact that it, you know, its current situation. We do have secondary road improvement programs and things like that. It could be part of a petition process by the county to upgrade the road if that was undertaken. Eventually, ultimately, VDOT would like, in a perfect world, to have every road in Essex County be up to that great standard spec. 2 9-foot travel lanes, great ditches, good 50-foot wider right-of-way or better. As you all know, the money is just not there, and that's not just an Essex County problem, that's a United States problem, no matter where you go. We've built a lot of infrastructure, now it's too expensive to maintain all of it. So that is the thing. Honestly, that process becomes political because VDOT, although they're an agency that is based on kind of numbers and highways, they still have a political thing. And if the local political body really says, hey, we want to fix this road or that road, it can be, yeah, that's where you have to start to get that done. It's no guarantee, but it starts somewhere, and that starts usually political will to try to get a road fixed if it's a real problem.
So, yes, sir.
When the sheriff's office enforces the noise ordinance, correct?
Correct.
And are you familiar with the manner in which they enforce and how they take sound readings? Is it at the property line?
It's because you don't have a search warrant or whatever, you're gonna try to get it from the public right away or wherever.
So if this is
Yeah.
my property and David's having a concert at his place and I call the sheriff and this is the property line, they go to the property line, don't they, and they take the sound readings?
Generally, yeah, unless
It's right
there's
at the property
some kind of
line,
warrant
within
or
so many
permission
feet
to
of
enter,
the property
yeah,
line.
yeah.
It's not necessarily.
Because that's the impact. If I've got a 1,000-acre property and we're having a concert in the back and nobody can hear it beyond the property line, it's not,
Right.
it's not an issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything
All right,
else,
thank you.
Brian?
Thank you, Brian.
Any other discussion? Any comment?
Want me to start?
Crank it up.
Okay, so the first thing, I have a problem with this on procedural grounds first, which is basically what we're asked to do is approve a conditional use permit that's tied to a piece of property that doesn't exist yet, right? We don't have a survey. We don't know exactly what the layout is. We don't know, like right now we have a notional idea that it's gonna wrap around 925 Montague in that little triangular spot. But per the ordinance, we need to have who owns the parcel and its extent and everything in the application itself. So I have a problem with trying to approve a hypothetical at this point. And then the only other thing I will say is that if you were to, we have to put conditions on it. If we can't approve it outright because there's nothing really in the ordinance that says, what is a commercial sawmill? It just has a small definition of it, but we don't have any restrictions on it. So I would apply the restrictions that were for a mobile sawmill, tweaked a little bit to match the fact that it's not mobile, and say, and use those criteria, which would include 100-foot setback from any property line, with that setback maintained as a buffer, vegetated buffer. No machinery, so the chipper or the debarker or a sawmill is any closer than 600 feet from any house. And that basically all timbering and milling operation would be disposed of in accordance with the Virginia Department of Forestry. So that's in the ordinance right now for a mobile sawmill. And then I'd put in their hours of operation would be weekdays, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But again, that doesn't address the issue with the ownership, which is required by the ordinance, and it doesn't address the road. So that's my 2 cents on it.
I personally have a serious problem with the road and the potential safety issues. In addition, as was mentioned about health and safety, the dust. I know personally I have asthma, and having particulate matter in the air, like one of the reasons I enjoy living here is because it is peaceful and we have cleaner air than in the cities. So from a health and safety perspective, I'm very concerned.
Angelo? Right, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think from listening to everyone that this has made me feel that my initial thoughts on the road were certainly correct in my own experience on the road. I'll just mention, by the way, you talk about dust. I live on a gravel road, half-mile long. I run through the car wash up here, okay? If I don't dry my car, if I just drive home, by the time I get to the end of the road, that car is covered in dirt. So it is a reality that there's a lot of dust out there. But again, bottom line, I don't think the road is at all suitable for this type operation. And that is aside from, let me just call it the mechanical aspect of the road. We heard tonight, you got real people in there. And you've got folks that would have their houses ruined. And, you know, the lady back here you were talking about, and I guess that's your mama there. You know, this is wrong. Just wrong. Enough said.
Anyone else? Someone want to make a motion?
Well, just one last comment from me. When I first saw the project, I thought it fit nicely with Essex County's emphasis on agriculture and forestry. And like, I went down and visited the site, and I just got the impression that well, there's just no way we're going to get trucks in and out. So my question still remains is, for this project or not, we're working on our comprehensive plan. And we kill a lot of projects here in Essex County. Our economic development is virtually nil, and it all comes down to roads. So my questions for the community still stands, and that is, do we want to improve the road and fix the road or not? You still have people living on the road. You have fire and EMS concerns. And the applicant did say that they thinned this property. Did I hear that correctly? This property was thinned before? And tractor trailers do get up and down the road. As the picture we saw shows, it's not much room. It is kind of a hazardous situation. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get to yes, and I don't think we're there.
Someone want to make a motion, one way or the other?
To deny.
Is that your motion?
Yes, I'd like to do that.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to send to the Board of Supervisors for denial and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Very good. Next up, we have another public hearing. If you all want to leave, I'll give you a minute to leave so we can move on. Did they email it to you? Did you get that email to you?
Yes. It was here on the,
All right, we will move on with our business. Thank you very much. Our next public hearing is a conditional use permit for Angelo and Ashley Malaseca. I know I'm gonna ruin that.
Malaseca.
Thank you. So the public hearing is for the consideration of a conditional use permit requested by Angelo and Ashley Malaseca pursuant to the Essex County Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance, Article 5, Use Matrix, Section 36.311, Table 36.12, Motor Vehicle Racing Camping, and Article 3, Division 5, Conditional Use Permits for proposed dirt bike track and associated dry camping on tax map 19-57. Consisting of 204 acres zoned A1 agricultural and forestry preservation within the agricultural preservation comprehensive plan district located off Tidewater Trail, Route 17 on Linden Lane within the Occupatia Magical District. So Brian, this was carried over from last month.
Correct, yes,
Was there
sir.
anything you wanted to add?
No, we did not draft a new memo for this, didn't really think it was necessary. Ms. Meliseka did submit the additional information to you all, and Carlos was nice enough to put that image on there, that's the updated image. I just would answer any questions you have relevant to what we do on our end, before you probably speak to Ashley again, and
Any questions for Brian before we get going?
okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then, does the applicant have anything she'd like to say further tonight?
No, did you want to repeat, I got this.
Come forward, please. Yes, ma'am. First off, thank you for doing this. This is what we asked you last month, and I appreciate you doing that.
Definitely.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Did you, somebody, I was given this. I was giving this,
You were given that
yes,
from who?
a PC member, a planning commission member.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is what?
Just for a heads up.
So is that ours? You gave her a copy of what we got, or what?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has the same one you have to help the conversation.
Good.
Oh, okay, I would,
No, it's the same thing. We've already seen it. Yes, ma'am.
oh, I just saw it.
Yes, ma'am. That's fine.
I've been reviewing it this evening.
That's fine. So is there anything you wanted to add, to add with what you said last month?
More, I'm very, Angelo, I sent a picture of it to him. He had to work, so he wasn't able to be here. But, so far, I think everything's really reasonable. I'm happy with everything that's here. I just want to clarify a couple things. One, it says no camping, but you can do parking. The reason I put camping on the application is because I didn't want anybody to be surprised if somebody parked a camper. Is that gonna be, like, are we on, I just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page there. Because a lot of times when people have their dirt bikes, they use the camper as a trailer. So like our camper has the garage in the back and the sleeping in the front.
So,
The one
so Brian, what she has is what Steve sent out to everybody?
Yeah, it says
Is that what
I
you
no
gave him?
camping.
Yeah, so
Jay?
we're on,
So one
under proposed conditions of track
Yes.
operation, number I says no camping, and then J says no non-resident overnight parking longer than 3 nights.
Yeah,
So I guess the first question would be, and you're going through it now, one of the members just sent this in for a recommendation of what he thought they might be. So this is not anything that is in rock solid. This was something that one of the members put in as, hey, this is his idea of what these conditions could be.
I like it.
So is there,
So your question is, no camping, but not necessarily no campers.
Right,
That's the clarification
Right.
we want to make. The campers are permitted on the property,
right.
just no camping overnight at the dirt track.
Because in other words, we don't want to open up a campground. We're not gonna have assigned sites, there's no fire rings, there's no dump station, there's no, it's.
but you had mentioned
yeah.
last time that somebody may stay overnight.
Right, and that's where I like the like not longer than 3 nights. So somebody could park, if they drive in from out of town on a Friday night, they could stay the night parked. That's what that's saying, right?
So we probably have to clarify that, right? Because you can't say no camping, then somebody spend the night in the camper. So we'd have to say no camping longer than 1 night. And I'm just making that up.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking too.
See what I'm saying, Steve?
Yeah.
Because if somebody stays 1 night, then they are camping. So we ought to clarify that, if that was your intent.
I think my intent was more what the applicant put forward, which was that you're not establishing a campground.
Right, we're not taking reservations for campsites.
Well, or,
Yeah,
yeah,
none of that.
you're not like
Yeah.
having, hookups and basic, parking spots for camping, tents, whatever, right? So
Right.
it's not falling into the definition of campground. However, if you have an RV, right, that you drive and you tow your gear behind you, and you park it, there's no, you know, people do this all the time, where they can stay overnight in the actual camper itself, right? They're not hooked to anything.
Right.
But it's just.
Boondocking.
So I'm not sure how exactly to word that.
Maybe
That was what I was asking.
no establishment of campgrounds or campsites.
Yeah, yeah. So, before we get into that list of conditions, I do have a couple of things that I'd like to get clarification, which is, okay, we don't really address noise in this, right? So, what, do you have limits? Okay, if you set up your dirt track, will you have limits on the size of engines?
The size of engines?
Yeah, engines, like on the actual motorcycles and stuff.
No.
Well, I mean, I think you have classes or something?
Oh, yeah, so the classes would be based on skill level, and that's from a safety perspective.
Well, but if I had a 500cc motorcycle, I could take it on your track.
This is where my husband needs to be here. You'd have to have a bike that can handle, an off-road bike.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be safe for you to take a street bike onto.
No,
that
no.
would
No,
not-
but a 450cc dirt bike is not uncommon. on
Right,
dirt tracks.
right,
So I
yeah, so
think
there
what
would
we're
not
asking
be
is
a
lot of the
restriction.
questions I asked last
Yeah.
meeting. 2 strokes,
Yeah,
engines are gonna be allowed.
Mhm.
4-stroke engines are gonna be allowed.
Yeah.
But no straight pipes. I asked the question, are we using mufflers and spark
Yeah,
arresters?
mufflers,
And I think
yeah.
no spark arresters, but we would have mufflers.
yeah.
So is there a size limitation that we can entertain?
No, I'm
Because
waiting.
the-
Angela's listening in, so I was waiting on a response from him.
Yeah,
on size
because the
limit. But
gist-
no, there wouldn't, as far as I know, there would not be a restriction on
You could
size
add
limits.
Mufflers and spark arresters are required.
Yes, we could do that. And then the bigger the engine, the more noise, right?
No, not always.
Louder?
Not, yeah, I was gonna say, I think
always.
the muffler does
Okay.
a lot with that, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. I think the muffler controls a lot of the noise.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, you do more motorsports, like
I,
engine
many
repairs, yeah.
decades ago, sometimes the bigger engine has a lot more low-end torque, which keeps you from over-revving the engine and being in the power band. That's the
Yeah.
big, long answer. So sometimes a larger engine keeps you from having to over-rev the bike to get around a turn or go over an obstacle.
Okay. Oh, and Angela just said 500cc max and muffler needed, so that's, I guess 500cc would be the max.
Okay.
So was there anything else on these that you had an issue with, that you wanted to ask about?
Yeah, were there any other questions?
Well, I was asking you
Okay.
first.
So just that clarification between not a campground, but campers parking overnight. And then if we could do 5 nights instead of 3, if somebody wants to rent the track out.
5.
You had a
3 nights
3-night
here,
minimum?
5 nights.
Maximum.
Or I'm sorry, maximum. Sorry.
Just to be clear, we're talking about number 1J.
Yes.
Can you work with 4?
Okay. 4.5 now.
5 is a long time.
Yeah.
Never split first. I just split first, so.
If 4 is all I can get, I would love 5, but if 4 is all I can get, then that's,
Yeah, 3 is a long weekend, right? So
yeah,
Friday, Saturday,
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
Well, 3 is a normal, not
That's
necessarily the bike, but if you get into the camping part, 3 is the normal. They come in on Friday, Saturday, they leave Sunday. You know, if you're just camping,
Yeah.
right? Which, to me, if you're gonna stay 5 nights, then you're camping.
Yeah.
I mean,
agree.
that's just, you know, if that camper's gonna stay there 5 nights, then they're camping for 5 nights. I mean, that's just a fact, you know.
There's still no hookups, no fire
Doesn't
rings,
matter.
no
They're
sites,
still
no.
there.
Yeah,
They're
I just
still
wanna
there
make
for
sure, like,
5
it's
nights.
not like a, yeah.
No, but it's still, it doesn't matter whether they're hooked up or not. If their camper is there for 5 nights, they're camping for 4 nights anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
that's just a fact.
Yeah.
So I would like 5, but if, you know, it's,
To me, 3 would be gracious, but that's just one person.
Question, would there be any limit on the number of people you could have in the camping vehicle? I mean, like, I've got 30 people all roll in with their campers.
oh, so like if we have 30 campers parked out there?
Yeah.
Oh, I had not envisioned having a limit because I don't anticipate seeing that. I mean, if that's a problem I have, that would just be awesome. But I don't foresee it having that many campers on site. Maybe for a race weekend, but then that's where we would limit the amount. You know, we'd have to, if there's some sort of limit, we would have to play with that. But it's not, you don't normally, it's like we were saying last time, like maybe 10% of your riders will stay in a camper overnight.
How many parking spots are there?
Oh, man, it's a couple 100 feet down. I don't know the exact amount.
Just guesstimate.
What is it? 8 feet for a, I'm gonna do a little math, if that's okay. Except I opened up my 200 divided by 8 feet a spot, so 25, 50, 75, at least 75. I would say 75 to 125, yeah.
And your permit for Linden House is 200, right? That's your occupancy limit for Linden House?
Inside the structure is 200. We have,
Okay.
my permit says unlimited outdoor space.
Okay.
Any other questions for now, before we go to public
Yeah,
hearing?
I think the camping limit, that would be a tough one.
What is
Uh,
that?
The camping limit would be a tough one to try and monitor. Mainly because it's not it happens, it's something I want to be able to offer, but it's not, like every rider that comes onto the site isn't staying the night. It's probably about 10% of those are staying the night.
I want the applicant, if this goes forward, I want the applicant to have a safety aspect of this. It's been a long day and it's hot, 100-degree weather. Someone might need to rest for a few hours.
That's
before-
exactly it.
Before they pull out.
That's exactly it. And it's also the night before, like, we're kind of in a sweet spot as far as temperature goes here. So you get a lot of your weekend warriors from PA, Jersey, maybe even New York, Maryland, West Virginia, that it's too cold. The soils are too hard. So they do a 5-hour drive to get down to places like South Fork, like Raymond Track and Trail, like St. Charles, Charles City. You know, you come in on a Friday night, you get in at midnight, you need to rest up before you ride the next day. Maybe not midnight, that's stretching it, but, yeah. And it's the same thing for the night of. You have a day of riding, it's nice to just kind of relax before you hit the road the next morning.
Well, and that's, I mean, if you come in at 9 o'clock on Friday, you have 9 o'clock till Saturday, 9 o'clock till Sunday, it's only 2 days. So that's what I'm saying, 3 days carries you through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even.
Yeah.
A long weekend.
Yeah, a very long weekend, so something to consider. Are we
A
good
lot
for
of guys
now?
will come in on Thursday night and ride Friday, Saturday, Sunday too. But, and then we would like to be able to rent the track out for smaller groups. So if we have a track rental and they rent Linden House for 5 days and then rent the track for 5 days, it'd be nice if they had somebody that could, I know my husband's done that. Everybody else will stay in the Airbnb and he stays in his camper.
Any other questions for now? Did you have anything else to offer?
Yeah, I wanted clarification too on the event expected daily attendance, participants and spectators greater than 100 persons require a special event permit, that's K. Could you walk me through that process? Because I think that might answer some of my concerns.
She's asking about the special event permit, Brian.
Yeah, so the special event permit process is in our business regulations. The special event process, is not a fun job for county staff, because it's fraught with danger. But the good part about it is it combines law enforcement, life safety functions, sometimes VDOT even, if it's in the town staff, town coordination. It kind of puts that all together into one permit, one process, one time. So if you're gonna have, say, outdoor music festival and you expect 1,500 people, the sheriff's department can be part of the process and say, hey, I think I'm gonna need 8 deputies and I'm gonna need to control traffic here. We have meetings on it. The paid EMS staff can say, hey, we're gonna make sure we have these people here. Fire department guys might say, oh yeah, we need 1 brush truck plus pumper on standby just in case there's, those kinds of things go into, that's the main goal of this special events permit, is to have life safety ready.
What's the current threshold now to have that number of people?
That was my, because you said 1,500, and that's a long way away from
Well, there
100.
are some, there are some events that might be.
But what's the
at
current threshold?
Riverfest back in the day, it's 200 people, or and it depends if it's outdoor or indoor. So if you have mostly an outdoor event, you know, if it's an indoor facility that can handle it, say someday if the Daw Theater's ever fixed up and it's 200 person capacity, that's not a special event, because it's a
That's what they do.
facility made for that. But this is mostly about your 250 plus crowd, where you're gonna have traffic, possibility of people getting injured, or hurting each other. In a county where on a night shift, on certain nights, you might have 2 deputies on staff, one in one end of the county, one in the other end, and there's a wreck, who's gonna respond? So when we have a special event permit on staff, it's a way of everybody knowing, oh, we might need 2 people on standby or something like that.
Okay.
So that's the point of it. I think it's a great thing to have. The interesting thing is that with conditional use permit, you're in a different position for that. So it may be more of an ongoing thing where you develop with a conditional use permit in the facility. There are other facilities that everybody knows that go on in the county where big events frequently happen. They do not have conditional use permits for almost any of those. They rely solely on the special events process. That's a little bit of a headache for staff and for life safety and law enforcement in this county, because it's variable and changing. So we do prefer if somebody has a conditional use permit, and then that's just a much better relationship with the county, because there's established parameters, and Sheriff's Department and EMS can know what to expect.
So would you want that to be 200 as it is currently, rather than 100?
Yeah. So and it could depend. The whole point is also stuff for pay. If I have a party at my house and I'm cooking a pig and 100 people show up, is that a special event? No, because I'm not selling tickets. It's not for the public. So it's variable, but basically that's the general idea.
What does the special permit cost?
$150, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
200 sounds more reasonable,
Kelly
but,
does.
yeah.
150.
150? Okay.
And that has not changed with others. The Kelly schedule changed, so.
What if we're
We try, that's a very reasonable fee, in my opinion. That keeps it, although it can get expensive if you have 5 events, 10 events a year. We do have available, and it's in the process, where if you have, and I notice in your conditions, 8 events a year, that can be what's called a recurring special event. So it'd be 1 application fee for the whole year, a blanket kind of thing.
Okay.
But the deal with that is that we like a 45-day heads up on events.
So maybe races would be, like, I just know now, like, races are going to be one where I'll automatically apply.
And generally, I would
Okay.
think you would set those up a year in advance, and then that's on the schedule.
Yeah.
Really, the most important thing is that, and you all know, everyone in this room knows this from disasters in America now, disaster response is extremely hampered by manpower. So what we're trying to do is prevent a disaster from happening, prevent an accident from happening, and make sure we have the county manpower ready for your event. Might be minor, might be, sometimes it's just a small paramedic truck with one person, but that can make the difference in life and death if somebody has a heart attack while they're listening to a music festival, so.
Okay. I'm good with all that. And then I had one other thing to are we good on the event?
Yes,
Okay. And then one other thing to clarify, 2, tracks, landscaping and grounds, you have E. Tracks or trails must be at least 600 feet from any dwelling on any other lot. So we're not talking about Linden House. It's any of the neighbors. Okay, great.
But yours would be excluded.
Okay. I guess Angelo just brought up a point too. If we do, we're back to camping, if I can jump back to that, to not camping, to parking for 5 days. We would really like that. Other than that, this is fantastic.
Any
Yeah.
other questions at this time? All righty, thank you. So we're gonna go.
Good.
public hearing. No, we're good.
Okay.
So does someone want to make a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to enter the public hearing part with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a list here also. Same rules as the last public hearing would apply. So first one is Laura.
No, I'm done. I just saw this ready for attendance.
I signed her up by accident. It's my mom.
That's all right.
She's just here to support me.
And then how about Ashley? You're good? I'm right on through. Is this, and then Elise is good with that one too?
I thought it was an attendance thing.
You all three are present, right? All right. How about Bland Motley? Good evening, sir.
Evening to you. Thank you, Commissioners. Bland Motley is my name. I grew up on a farm adjacent. Our property line meets Linden House. My wife and I own a home there, and we also own the property with my nephew who's here, Peyton Motley, who currently resides in Richmond County. We live in Goochland. I grew up in Essex and went to school here and come back weekly for rest and relaxation and gardening and hunting and all the things you do. We love to do in Essex County, so it's a great place to be, and we love it very much. Linden House is a great place too. It's been there for many years. My brother's daughter's reception for a wedding was there, and I think Peyton had his rehearsal dinner there. So we've used the facility, and when it was a restaurant from time to time, we used it quite a bit as well. My primary concern, as I mentioned before, is consideration of the noise level. When we're talking about things like you were speaking of earlier about the size of engines, and if it's straight pipe, if it needs a muffler. Obviously, what we're getting to is how much noise is going to be made by the number of people that are there and the number of racers. I mean, as I said, it's a great piece of property. I understand as a businessman, as a property owner, sometimes you want additional revenue streams, so you look about things that you know and how you can implement them to make them work better for your property. And I've met Angelo and I met Ashley last time when we were here in June. I understand what they want to do is increase the value of that property to them and have a revenue stream. As I said before, my concern is the noise. When there are weddings there and before it was owned by them, if there's a reception and they have a band, we can hear it at our house, but it isn't that bad, I would say, and it's music. You might not like the music, but you listen to it, so you get used to that. The thought of how often and how many riders and the amount of noise that would be made is my concern. So I think and I'm not the closest neighbor. I know that neighbor is closer than me as the crow flies. We were about probably 1,500 feet, I would say, maybe something like that, maybe 2,000 as the crow flies, but they're closer residents to that, and I would think they have the same concerns. So as much as I like them and like the place, I would say I would speak against it.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Miley. Next up is Philip Sasser.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, if I could, and I want to apologize because I'm not tech savvy at all, but the applicant mentioned two nearby tracks that she was comparing to this one. And I'm sorry, I have 3 copies of the basic website for each one. I didn't get 6 for the whole thing,
Okay,
but we got a
good.
total of 6.
We can share. I'll share with Angela.
Anyway, my name is Philip Sasser, by the way, but I'm speaking for my wife's family and the Hester family, who own Font Hill Farm, which is about 1.5 miles as the crow flies from this property. It's on Lloyd's Road. My wife has, for the past 53 years, run a cattle operation on the property. At any rate, I would recommend to the members of the commission, if they haven't already, to get online and to look at the websites that the applicant has suggested are comparable. I think the applicant said that their track would be between these tracks and the track that they have in Pennsylvania. But I would submit that this is clearly a major commercial operation that is not in keeping with the A1 district or the comprehensive plan. The applicant has been vague about the number of people, the number of riders. I think we've had numbers of 20 to 80 at one time, and then 100 riders if there's going to be a race. We don't know how many spectators that entails. We don't know how many vehicles that entails, but it's vague. We don't have any limits on that, and I'm sorry I'm at a loss, Mr. Chairman, because you all have been discussing some sort of conditions that somebody has come up with that I don't think were in the package that Bryant emailed to me, so I can't really speak to any of these conditions that would hopefully be premature at this point. But certainly the noise, like Mr. Motley said, if you get online and listen and look at the videos that are included with these track ads or the websites, the one thing that struck me is that these dirt bikes, and I don't know how big they are, they're of all shapes, all sizes, and all levels of noise, but they sound just like a chainsaw to me. I can imagine the neighbors, Mr. Motley or anyone else, living with 60 chainsaws running, buzzing around this high-pitched, constant noise at the same time. Because you've got a track, you've got people who are starting, and you've got people in the middle, you've got people at the end, you've got them jumping, you got them making all kinds of noise. But with the hours that the applicant has requested, 8 to 8, 6 days a week, that's a constant irritant. And I guess I should have had the lady run out and hired her real quick, who talked about the decibel levels and measurements, et cetera. Because I'm just giving opinions just based on what I'm listening to on these tapes. That's unimaginable. I mean, it's unconscionable that someone would put that kind of a use, number one, in the A1 zone, and number two, next door to anybody, or within hearing range of anybody. Again, we don't know how many of these riders are going to be there at the same time, but from their own submission, 80 up to 80 at one point, and then on race days up to 100. And if she's leasing out this property to somebody who she has no control over, we don't know what they're bringing in and how many riders they're going to have or what kind of equipment they're going to have. In addition to the noise, this property is at the headwaters of, I believe, Farmers Hall Creek, which runs directly into the Rappahannock down there at the mouth of Occupation. If you look at the submissions, if you look at these websites, the one thing that stands out, well, really, there are three things that stand out as being in common with all these tracks, and that is the amount of dirt, the amount of dust, and the amount of mud involved with this kind of racing. I mean, that's a dirt track. That's what it's called. I can't
Mr.
imagine
Sasser.
that the
Mr.
effects on the
Sasser.
historic properties such as Linden House
Mr.
can be
Sasser,
ignored.
we're coming up on time.
If I could,
Yes, just
I'm
wrap
trying
it
to
up,
speak
please.
for a group if I could,
I
for
understand
the
that.
family,
got
and
you
I
at
appreciate
over
that.
5 minutes, yes, sir.
But Route 17 is a obviously heavily traveled road. If I can submit to the commission just some pictures of, if I may, some of the trailers and vehicles that I've seen in some of these other websites as having either, that are going to be pulling in off Route 17 South, which is a two-lane road. There's no decel lane. I think if VDOT ever got involved with this, they might very well require a deceleration lane. It's on a curve, and these are accidents waiting to happen. The applicant actually says that our property values in the area will be increased because of this use. Well, that's nonsense, I would submit. Parking, where I'm at, we don't know how many RVs or these things are going to come in. Really, they didn't even ask for camping in the original application. But certainly, we don't know how many of these trailers are going to be camped all night, right in view of Route 17. It's going to ruin that view shed.
Mr. Sasser, you're going to have to wrap it up, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, but all I'll say is there are absolutely no conditions that the commission can set that would bring this use within the comprehensive plan or the A1 zoning. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
got a question for you.
Mr. Sasser?
You say you live on Lord's Road? You live on Lord's
No,
Road?
my wife's farm is on Lloyd's Road, 1916 Lloyd's Road.
Okay.
She commutes down from Fredericksburg every
I was
day
just
and
trying
has
to
done
see,
so for many years.
y'all used to seeing the four-wheelers and the dirt bikes on the road.
I'm sorry?
Or y'all used to seeing the dirt bikes and the kids on the dirt bikes and running the dirt bikes and the four-wheelers up and down the road? I'm just asking.
I've seen them across the way, sir, but I really haven't noticed them on the road at all.
Would you like for them to have control space?
I'm sorry.
Would you like for the people to have a control space so they can be safer?
I live on Lloyd's Road and we do not have this issue.
Ma'am?
Ms. Hester, I'm sorry, that's Ms.
Okay.
Hester who lives there.
We're good, thank you.
Well, you said you were speaking for a group. Which group are you representing?
Sasser Hester families.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Patricia Tolliver.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Patsy Tolliver. My family owns Lily Mount, the farm next to Linden House. I am here tonight to ask you to deny the conditional use permit for a dirt bike and ATV club with dry camping on tax map 19-57. I want to be clear from the start. I am not against dirt bikes. I am not against ATVs. I am not against families having a place to ride. But this proposal has to be in the right location. This is not the right location. My biggest concern is safety. This part of Essex County is rural. This is why people love it. It also means we do not have the same infrastructure, emergency access, fire protection, police coverage, or response times that a more developed area might have. That matters when you are talking about dirt bikes, ATVs, RVs, campers, trailers, fuel, generators, and people staying overnight. What happens when there's a serious accident on the track? What happens if a rider goes down in the woods or in a remote part of the property? What happens if there's a fire from a generator, a camper, fuel, dry brush, or a campfire? Who gets there? How fast can they get there, and what resources are available when they arrive? These are not theoretical questions. They're exactly the questions that should be asked before approving this kind of use in the rural part of the county. Traffic is another serious concern. The turnoff Route 17 is already not designed for this type of activity. This proposal would bring in trucks, trailers, RVs, campers, riders, spectators, and families. Vehicle pulling trailers do not turn quickly. They stack up, they swing wide, they slow traffic. On Route 17, that creates a real safety hazard, not just for people going to the track, but for everyone else using that road. This brings me to zoning. The county has zoning laws for a reason. Not every activity belongs on every piece of land. A dirt bike and ATV club with dry camping is not a normal, low-impact rural use. It is an intensive recreational use. It brings noise, traffic, dust, disturbed soil, overnight activity, and emergency response risk. This is exactly why the board has to look beyond whether the idea sounds reasonable in general and to ask whether the specific property can handle it. I do not believe it can. The water issues are a part of that zoning question. This land has ponds and streams running through and around it, including water that moves through Lily Mount and onto the Linden property. A dirt track has to be sprayed with water to control dust and keep the surface usable. That water does not disappear. It runs off exposed dirt and disturbed soil. It can carry sediment, fuel, oil, tire residue, and other pollutants into ponds, streams, and ultimately the Rappahannock and Chesapeake Bay watershed. This is exactly why the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act exists. It recognizes that local land use decisions affect water quality. It is much easier to prevent damage than to try to fix it after runoff, erosion, and sediment problems have already started. So to me, this comes down to common sense. This is a rural area without the resources or infrastructure to absorb this kind of use safely. The roads are not set up for it. The emergency services are not set up for it. The water resources should not be put at risk by it, and the zoning laws should not be stretched to force an incompatible use onto a property that cannot support it. Again, I'm not saying this type of facility should not ever exist in Essex County. I am saying it needs to be in the right place, somewhere with the right access, the right buffers, the right emergency response capacity, and the right surrounding land use. Linden House is not that place. I respectfully ask you to deny this conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tyler. And last would be, I guess, Spotswood Tolliver. Excuse me? Yes, ma'am.
I didn't realize there was a sign up.
That's okay. Just remember, we're at 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm well aware.
Yes, ma'am.
Been here, done that. My name is Lisa Mountcastle. I'm the president of the Essex County Conservation Alliance. We're opposed to this request for a conditional use permit for a dirt bike track and dry camping at Linden House in Champlain. The parcel in question is within the area that is zoned for agriculture, forestry, and preservation. Linden House itself is on the national list of historic places and is also located in a rural historic district. That designation was spearheaded by the ECCA about 10 years ago to the applause of the occupants of the district. Why? Because they wanted to keep it rural and honor its historic roots. There's nothing historic about a dirt bike club or tracks that have been proposed for this site. This area is quiet, agricultural, scenic, environmentally sensitive, and deeply tied to the history and identity of this county. A dirt bike operation of any sort is not compatible with this location. The county has zoning laws for a reason. They're meant to protect neighbors, to preserve rural character, and to guide incompatible uses to more appropriately zoned locations. The current owners of this property knew how this property was zoned before they bought it, which we find perplexing. You have all these layers of protection, yet here we are. I'm not opposed to dirt bikes per se. My son had one. It was very loud. By the way, the average decibel level of a dirt bike at 50 feet is 80 to 90 decibels. I looked that up. I can't imagine how loud so many dirt bikes would be at one time and how intrusive that would be to neighboring property owners. To those who could say that this could be good for the youth of Essex County, I want to remind you that to join this proposed dirt bike club would involve paying a membership fee and daily use rates. I don't think that the average county family has the resources for such an endeavor. This is not for the youth of Essex County. It's for the owners to create a business that is completely incompatible with the current zoning of the property. And to approve this would set a terrible precedent and create a very slippery slope that could have very long-lasting and problematic ramifications. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't sign up, but I'd like to speak.
Yes, sir.
I'm also with the Essex County Conservation Alliance. My name is Hill Welford, and we have a farm just up the river, up the road a little ways from Linden House. I'm familiar with racetrack proposals in this A1 area because one was proposed not too many years ago close to our property, and it was voted down by the Planning Commission and by the Board of Supervisors, and that involved a bean field racetrack. And at that point in time, people were coming in from other areas to do these races. They were loud, and they disrupted wildlife as well as the tranquility of the area. We moved into this area years and years ago in my family, and then our family preserved it, and other families are like ours who own land in this area. We love this part of the world, but we're here because of the zoning. And if the zoning changed, people are not going to come here. In other words, we're trying to preserve, and this is the agricultural preservation district we're talking about. But that's the language, and the language says that if you're going to do a conditional use, it ought to be compatible with the surroundings. That's in your regulation. There's nothing compatible here with a dirt bike in an A1 preservation district. You can't make that compatible, not this commercial kind of racing. And I say to you that while there are lots of people who enjoy this sport, there is a place to do it, but it's not in an A1 preservation district. And I don't think there's really much doubt about that. I want you to think about why people stay in Essex, why the children want to come back here, hopefully they do, and why we're bringing tourists in. And it's because of the nature of this place. This is a very rare, wonderful county. And we look up in the north and we see what's happening to it in the other counties. And we recognize that if we're going to preserve this county, we've got to stand up and apply our zoning and not find a way to avoid it. And I think that's what's happening here. This is not a proposal before you that is consistent with the zoning. And I ask you to turn it down.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Motley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I want to start off, thank you for your time. Public service is not missed on me. I would urge you as commissioners to get a few more answers before you made any decisions on this. As I sat here tonight, I really struggled with the difference in camping, what you're spending tonight. I would like some definition there and a limit on it. I'd like to see some limits put on, or something that is agreeable with the commissioner and the property owner for number of riders, number of parking spots. I just think before you make any decisions. There's a lot that's left up to either interpretation or very vague. So I would like to see you gather a little more information before you make any decisions. Thank you for your time.
Was there anyone else? Yes, ma'am. That's okay, dear. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, you do need to tell me.
Oh, I do?
Yes, you do.
I'm Betty Ann Garrett.
Betty Ann Garrett.
Yes.
And Betty Ann Garrett, please keep it to 3 minutes if you could.
It'll be 50 seconds or less.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. The comprehensive plan for Essex County is to preserve the rural character of the county. In fact, the state recognized a historical district encompassing much of the area in the north part of the county. This district is called the Rappahannock Occupational Historical District, and it includes the Linden property that we have been discussing tonight. Essex County will continue to experience growth, both commercial and residential. Route 360 toward Richmond already has a lot of activity with Bray's Fork, the Chevrolet dealership, and Miller's Tavern activities. The pressure for more development along 360 in Essex County will also increase, I feel quite sure. The pressure from Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, and Caroline County will also be a challenge in keeping our county rural. Please vote to honor the plan, the comprehensive plan, of keeping the character of Essex County rural and to honor the Rappahannock Occupational District. Vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, guys.
Your name, please.
I'm Dolly Brennan. I am here, I live in Savannah, actually, but I have a family farm here in Hustle, and it's a couple of miles away from this proposal. And I just want to mirror everything that everyone else has already said. I agree with them. This is not the right use, not the right place. And I think, you know, the reason someone brought up coming back to this county, and the reason that I bring my family back here is because it's peaceful, and we get to come with the kids and let them out the front door wild, and it's quiet. And we can hear from where we are, Route 17, very easily, and it's miles away. So I can only imagine how much we're going to hear from this. And I think, so I own a business in Savannah, and what I'm thinking as I'm listening to all of this is how much work I had to do to create a proposal to open my business, and it was a thick packet. And I had to consider all of the questions that you guys have asked tonight and all of the ones that you haven't. Alcohol use, all sorts of environmental ramifications that could be here, and daily operations. Are they gonna rent it out and then go back to where they live? Or do they live there? I just don't know a lot of answers to those questions, and I feel like it's just not a fully thought out proposal, and for that reason I would say deny. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion to come out of the public hearing part of this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's been a lot of discussion about the comprehensive plan, and so I was reviewing it, and there were a couple of things in it that stuck out to me. In terms of implementation, which is in, I believe in section 4, it talks about drafting policies and incentive programs to encourage quality development in support of economic growth. It says to consider flexible standards that seek to encourage and accommodate innovative and varied approaches to development and redevelopment. It goes on in different sections. Section 6 talks, okay, so section 6 also discusses the encouragement of developing parks and recreation facilities to serve the needs of county residents. Now, this is not technically a county parks and rec program, but it is something that would provide recreation to the people of Essex County. It's a place where not just youth, but like families could go And I do believe it would drive people to the county where they would spend money on hotels, they're gonna spend money on gas, they're gonna eat at the restaurants. It's important to increase the amount of services and activities that we can offer the residents of the county. Also, in the comprehensive plan, there's a section on the economy, and where it says we need to continue encouraging efficient and attractive commercial development and strengthen the county's economic base. At a certain point, like, there's been discussion about people coming back here, but Essex is going to grow. It's gonna continue to grow. We're gonna get the urban sprawl coming from each direction. It's just a fact of life. And at a certain point, we need to understand that that's happening and encourage that growth and more opportunity in a way that fits with the comprehensive plan. Personally, I am in favor of issuing the conditional use permit. It's allowed under the zoning with the permit. I do not think it's an incompatible use. I actually did some research. I don't have any pictures right now, but there are there are several places throughout the country where people pair weddings or like bachelor and bachelorette parties with dirt bikes and ATVs and things like that. It is actually, people will have destination weddings specifically at these facilities, and it's another way to increase tourism in Essex County. I personally, I think that it fits with the conditional use that's suggested in the permit, and it fits with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Bobby. Go ahead, sir. Anyone else?
Well, I'll go ahead and.
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and
Yes,
start.
sir. What do you
Okay.
wanna do?
So there's three things we can do. We could approve it unconditionally, and since the ordinance is essentially blank, I mean, basically we're giving a blank check for them to go forth and do. We could approve with, we could improve or approve with conditions, or we could deny it. And I think probably the best place to start is, and that's why I came up with a preliminary list based on what the applicant had put in, of the conditions and the idea of going through the conditions. Like, how can we balance an innovative use of this property with the needs of the neighbors and the rural nature and all that, right? So can we strike a balance here by crafting a set of conditions that people can live with? So in starting that, so I'll go ahead and start with the proposed conditions. Now, and just remember, this is for us a starting point for discussion. It's not anything that's, it has to be this way or not, right? And we've kind of started that. Okay, business license. I think since it's a for-profit, you got to have a business license. Next thing is track operation, open no more than 5 days at any 7-day period. I think, 5 days a week. Is that a good number to start with? And one of the things I'm thinking is, do we start low? Since this is the first time through this, and we're essentially writing the ordinance as we go.
So,
right?
to be clear, when I was saying I recommend approval, I'm talking about with conditions. And
Yeah.
so, I agree that the conditions would help balance with the concerns of the neighbors. My suggestion would be 4 to 5 days. 4 or
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, so are people comfortable with,
So why don't we do this?
yeah,
Because people just got this today,
yeah,
and these people have seen none of it.
This has
Right.
not been
Right.
distributed to the
It's not
public.
been distributed to the public. So what I think we should do is, why don't you quickly go through them?
okay,
My suggestion would be, and I'm just one vote of all of us up here, would be quickly go through them.
okay.
And then I think we should table it to let everybody see it. These should be available, the draft, Brian, will be available for people to see. And then let each of us go through it over the next month to be able to respond, add or subtract whatever they think is appropriate for this, that we can discuss next month after everybody's had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
That would be, so I think it's, you drafted it, so we should go, if you'll just go through them quickly, and then we can get a feel for it, and then next month come up and say, okay, well, that was a great idea, but as Bobby said, you have here no more than 5 days out of 7, she may come back and say 4 out of 7. You know, and we settle on 5 out of 7 or 2 out of 7, whatever, but at least, I thought what you did was awesome, but I think we should let everybody go home with it after you go through it, and then let it be given to the public so they can see it also.
With that, with tabling impact the 100-day timeline? I'm not sure how far we're into that.
Brian will have to answer that, but if it's my understanding, if the applicant agrees to have it tabled, then it can go as many times as it needs to go.
Okay. And then the next one was having a responsible monitor, either the owners or their agent must be on site during track usage. Hours, right now, the applicant requested 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I refined that to say opening it a half an hour after sunrise or 8 a.m., whichever is later, and closing at 8 p.m. or a half an hour before sunset, whichever is earlier, because, you know, it gets dark by 8.
Summer, winter.
Yeah, and even in June, right? So maximum hours operations per day, 7 hours, 10 hours on race days, no more than 8 races in any 1 year period, no lights on tracks and trails, nor nighttime operation, and I threw in there emergency maintenance activities excluded. So if you had to go in there and groom the trail or whatever, you could do it after the normal operating hours. 2-wheel vehicles only, so motorcycles, electric bikes, bicycles, except for track maintenance, so the tractor's got 4 wheels. So no ATVs, or those variations thereof. No camping, so no campground, no, and that could be elaborated on. No non-resident overnight parking longer than 3 nights. Linden House guests excluded. So if you did drive an RV in or a camper and you parked it in there, you could keep it there for 3 days. So you're not, you know, it's not really a campground. It's tied to your activities. Any event with an expected daily attendance, participants and spectators greater than 100 persons require a special event permit, which is I put in there because it gets, it ties county staff and EMTs and the sheriff department into what's going on, and make sure that the facility and the people are aware of what needs to be done, and, you know, the EMTs and first responders all know what's going on. On landscaping and grounds, no vegetation or land disturbance in the RPA, which is 100 feet. No track or trail specific permanent structures, so no grandstands, garages, et cetera. Fencing, if required, should be similar in nature to existing fencing, so no chain link fencing unless the zoning administrator approves it for safety reasons. Existing vegetative screening, for example, the evergreen planting around Route 17 should be maintained, and I think it is extended the length of the Route 17 frontage, so that might be superfluous. And then tracks or trails must be at least 600 feet from any dwelling on any lot. That I picked up from basically the sawmill, so, which has a similar noise profile. I would add in there a couple other thoughts is quiet hours, so something to think about, or do we set quiet hours? No noise after 10, right? Especially if you're afraid of people staying overnight. And then restrictions on size of engines
Yeah.
and mufflers.
Requiring mufflers, I think, should
Yeah.
definitely be in there.
500 cc max.
And a muffler.
Whether it be two-stroke or four-cycle, and then mufflers
Yes.
required. I think that's what we talked about before.
And then one last thing I'll bring up, which is the, now that Carlos has taken it down. Yeah, that, so the size has changed since last month. So the idea, so originally we were talking about a main track that's essentially just in this underneath barn and carport in that open area, and then maybe a kid's track down here where it says Linden Lane in that open area, right? And now the proposal is for 25.5 acres, or 26 acres, including a large group of trees and stuff.
Last month they were saying 30 acres, so,
Yeah, it was 30 to 40.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
now they
smaller.
now they brought it down.
Because we estimated we were losing 20 acres of farm and 20 acres
Yeah.
of forest.
Right, so
Okay.
they went down to 25.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
question for us to think about, is that an acceptable area? Is that too big, too small?
When you're looking at 200 and something.
That's probably a question for the applicant.
Well, we could, and-
Ashley? The question, I think, is the 25.96 acres on your site plan, is that 3 or 4 tracks? How many tracks total? Pardon me? That would be the 3 tracks?
We would like a parameter so you can't disturb more than a 30-acre section.
All right, but the 4th track was a trail that went up into the woods. Is that in that 25 acres?
No,
That's what I thought.
yeah, because the track through the woods would be.
Right. So that's why originally it was 40 acres, was
Right.
taken in the 4 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically 26 acres for 3.
Right.
I think.
Is it appropriate to ask for clarification on a point? If not, that's fine, but
We can allow it.
Yes, go ahead.
well, when I was here at the last hearing, and what I thought I heard when we were leaving was that the applicant needed to come back with a more structured plan of what the site was gonna look like. Tonight, I got the impression from the way she spoke that this was kind of done for her because she goes, I can live with this. Like somebody else had done it and she was looking
No,
at
ma'am,
it
she
and
was
feeling-
talking about the conditions. She was talking about these conditions we're talking
No,
about.
we were looking at this image,
No, ma'am, she gave us that.
okay,
We have this.
okay.
The commission is entertaining conditions in case we move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
She gave us that, and then, one of the commission members came up with a proposed conditions if it were to be approved. Yes, ma'am.
But, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I am a very big proponent for economic development in this county. Being married to the chairman of the Economic Development Commission, I get, every night, hey, we gotta develop something. That said, I'm concerned because, we fundamentally have a system here of protection for this area. Okay? That's the existing law and concept. It's a historic area, rural area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, are we going to be increasingly switching off in areas like this, farm after farm or whatever, saying, well, let's see if we can put this such and such industry there, and let's see how we can make it less obnoxious by putting on 10 or 20 conditions. And that's, what I think I'm hearing us do. Just like now, John's, we think that was it just didn't fit there. But this is a different circumstance to me. This is one where we've got a truly historic rural area with long-standing policy to protect those areas. And if you're going to dump something in, particularly right next to a historic property like Linden, I think we need to acknowledge that this is making a radical change in our system. Okay.
And I would encounter that, I would say that I'm concerned about NIMBYism. There's a certain point where lots of people are like, I want growth, I want, or say a Chick-fil-A or whatever, and you have to have enough people for that to have a customer base. And we need things that are gonna draw people here. And everything, I mean, there's a so most of Essex County is rural. I live in the South District, we have Dragon Run Motorsports. I mean, that's a rural area, and that's there.
You're on 17, so you have the, traffic going back and forth, north and south.
I think what Wright is saying is the historic part of it. There's not a ton, I have a place on 684, there's not a ton of historic on 684. I mean, I think what you're trying to say is this is a good idea and a nice concept.
Well, yeah, I mean, in
not
certain areas of the county, just like with John's, I think it'd be super. But do you drop it down in a truly historic district that you got it as an agricultural district, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, you can move right on up toward Fredericksburg, looking at all those farms and all, and if somebody could get their hands on a piece of it, you know, that's a development. Now, you know, as Bobby's saying, you know, there is gonna be some change. And I think change going to Richmond is gonna be faster than we can imagine shortly. And I think down county, there's gonna be some change. But I'm just thinking, I'm not saying any more than that. I just think we all ought to give that some thought.
Well, as like last month, and as someone out there said earlier, when a change is made, normally there's a ton more information that's given. Okay, whether it's the right piece of property or the not right piece of property. So if we all say, and I'm just making this up, if we all say, okay, well, we think the use is great, but we need to nail down, A, is it a good spot for it, and B, even if it is the perfect spot for it, then what are the
You still got
what are the parameters to do it, right? They did a much better job of telling us where they wanted to do it, but even by our own admission, she doesn't know exactly how many tracks we're gonna have and where they're gonna be. 3 in this, but there might be another one in the woods, right? So to me, even if it was the perfect spot and the perfect use, we still don't know enough about where it's going, how it's going, for that man over there to be able to monitor it when these folks fuss about it, right? So they put it in, it looks beautiful, but the neighbors start fussing, and they go back to Brian and say, well, we heard in the meeting that X, but X didn't get done because X isn't in the conditions, because there's nothing to look at that said that Brian can pull up and say, well, here's the drawing they brought that shows where the tracks are gonna be roughly, not exactly, but in a good shape, and if they bring it to your BZA, right? And somebody fusses, and they say they think they're going against it, you have nothing to look at, other than we have the conditions to run it, but you have nothing to look at to say, well, that's exactly where it was gonna be, track-wise, how close it is to the road, you know, so.
But he can't really draw no tracks in until.
But that's like saying you can't show me where you wanna put the house
I get what you're saying.
until I open the land up.
So in other words, you need them to come back and draw it in.
Well, I would want to see, I would want to see just better, this is saying that we have 27 acres that we're gonna put a track on.
Right.
Okay, so
For
nowhere in here today does it say it's only 4 tracks.
Right.
It could be 12 tracks, right? And so that's the type of stuff, and, right, you're exactly right. The first thing we gotta figure out, and I think some of these commission members have already made their mind up, and it's great, whether this is the right spot or not. Okay, so if it's the right spot, what exactly are they gonna do on it besides have racetrack? And where are they gonna be? And how are they gonna be? And are they gonna be far enough apart so that it's safe for them to have it? I'm not trying to, make excuses, I'm just saying that on any other development site, you're told what's gonna happen there and where it's gonna be, right? And we're still in we think it's gonna be 4, but we're asking for 3, but 1 might be in the woods.
Yeah.
We don't have that yet.
I was just
We
gonna
don't
say,
have any of it.
it says this is a proposed area for track, so to me, that means that's the only area, so there would be no track in the woods, because that's what they submitted.
But she just said that, no, she'd like to have the 4 from the woods.
And I want to make sure that I wasn't putting words in her mouth, because I thought last week we estimated that we were losing about 20 acres of crops and 20 acres of forest for a total of 40. And that there was going to be a training area, a kiddie track, and then the other track. And then there was gonna be a trail in the woods. And with trail in the woods, we've talked about safety, fire, EMS, rescue squads, first aid, even landing a helicopter on the property if necessary. The other thing I would like to point out, and I might be wrong about this, maybe the ECCA can fix this for me. I was on those calls when North Essex was declared a historic area. But I was under the impression as a property owner in the North District that there would be no restrictions on development. If the area was declared a historic district, you could apply and maybe get a plaque for your property, but if you wanted to develop your property in accordance with county ordinances, you could still do so. So I appreciate the fact that this is a historic area. I live in this area, and I don't think that's really has anything to do with what we're trying to accomplish tonight.
I mean,
We can approve it, or we can
Bobby's
not approve it.
exactly right. There is the NIMBY, right, including me, in certain things, that we don't want what's gonna happen anywhere where we are. And I understand these people 100% can sympathize with them. So it doesn't matter. I think it wouldn't matter. You could probably go up there on Route 360, just past my place, where the old motorcycle track was, and somebody would fuss about wanting to reopen that, right? So I do understand it. I think it's a great idea. And where else to have a motorcycle track than in a rural county, right? Because we have, as you said, we have the tractor pools and everything just around the corner from me. But I still say that whether we have it or not, we have to figure out, right now, we just have a blank slate that says we're gonna put some motorcycle tracks on it. And I think it's gonna be really hard for staff to try to monitor if something goes wrong or if something starts, if they start having more than, what did you put, 7, how many events? 7 a
8,
year?
yeah, 8 per year.
Right, 8 a year? Who's gonna monitor that? Well, that happens in any, it's.
Part of the
Yeah,
permitting process.
That's part of the permitting process. What we're talking about is use. Our job is to talk about the use of the property, right? Do we feel like the use of the property is good? Yes, ma'am, I am too, every day. So VDOT is just part of it. They go for the application, Brian and them are gonna take it to VDOT, and they're gonna go, well, that's great. You're changing the use. I brought that up last month. Anytime you change the use of a property, VDOT has the right to tell you yes or no. It used to be, and Brian, you correct me, but up until, 4 or 5 years ago, VDOT had to give you permission for an entrance if you wanted it. They do not have to do that anymore. That's right. If they look at something today, you have a raw piece of property, which this is not, but if you have a raw piece of property and want to put a road on it, they do not have to give you permission to come off their road onto it. They used to have to, but they don't anymore. But they do have the right to tell you that if you change the use of that property, what your driveway needs to look like. They do have that right. So that'll come along. If this went through tonight, it was all done, and then these folks go to apply, and Brian takes it before VDOT, and they go, whoa, 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 whoa. This is, an historic place that they used to have, or that they have events and overnight guests. That's one thing. But now you've gone to a motorcycle club, now it has to be something else, the entrance stuff. So that comes at that point. Yes, ma'am.
Brian, there is a mechanism for modifying conditions and conditional use permit. Okay?
Yes,
So it's not, like if we decide now, okay, because we're kind of making this up because it's the first time we've had to deal with something like this. And if we find later that we didn't think of something, or something is bad, or we make things too tight or too loose, we can go ahead and revisit it.
I don't think so. I think once we approve it, it is what it, we've told these people what they're allowed to do, and unless we change the zoning ordinance, which then they would be grandfathered.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't think we can do it and then come back a year later and say, well, we thought we
Yeah,
should.
we forgot that.
Yeah, no, I don't think that can
I
happen.
I've been a part of a revocation of a conditional use permit, whereby somebody had violated the terms of the permit. You probably remember that one. It was for a gravel pit that began to be a fire hazard, and I went in there and told them to stop, and a couple months, it just kept going on. So we basically had a public hearing in reverse, allowed the applicant to come in and stripped him of his conditional use permit, and he had to close the gravel pit down. That can happen. I am aware of a conditional use permit. I have not yet been able to put my hands on the files because it's about 15 years old, and it's in one of those eras where the paperwork was not very good and paper keeping. That for a, I won't name the conditional use yet until I get my hands on it, but for a conditional use permit that is supposed to be revisited every 5 years, given the staff turnover we've had in the last 6 or 7 years.
That was part of their condition?
That was part of their conditions.
But you made it part of that up front.
If you all do table the deliberations on this request, I will follow up with county attorney and find out if there's some sort of prohibition against one of the conditions being a renewal, if you will, or a revisiting every 5 years. It's not a bad idea with a lot of and ironically, the use that I heard from other staff that this applies to is also a race facility. So, and I'm aware, of course, y'all know I'm probably a farmer first and a county guy second. I have many friends in the poultry industry who have poultry houses and hog farms that they have to get revisited every 5 years or 10 years with the county in which those reside. So at some point, there must be some validation of that method. Whether it's still there or not, I'll find out legally and advise you all on that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's personally, I'll go out on a limb and say I don't think it's a bad idea because things change. Carlos and I know that when we started modifying the comprehensive plan, some of the uses that we're now talking about 3 years ago weren't even uses. So, you know, things change fast. So that's not a bad idea. I'll get back to you on that.
One other thing, we were talking about potential conditions. I just wanted to say another one I thought of that I should consider is, or we should consider is reclamation of the land in the event that it's it closes.
So you mean like no hard surfaces?
Yeah.
Dirt only? Yeah, I think Brian brought that up earlier. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It follows the land, not the owner. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am? So does someone want to make a motion to table it till next month? Not to table a public hearing, but table the discussion till next month?
Also move.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to with, I can never remember her name.
Ashley.
Ashley. So there's a motion on the floor to table the discussion until next month. Is that okay with you?
I hear everybody's responses, but I really wanted to get some conclusion and I move forward to the board. But I understand that.
You may not get the conclusion you want.
Right, exactly, that's why I'm, so, yeah.
Well,
table.
but also, Mr. Chairman, for clarification, Ashley, I think what we're looking for is this same drawing.
With the tracks.
With the tracks, the general concept of where the tracks are. And I'm not clear if what I said was correct, in the sense that what's on this document shows 3 tracks, and then what it doesn't show is the possibility of a trail that's up in the forest, in the woods. So if you could bring us this same document marked up with the trails, because, Mr. Chairman, I was ready to make a motion that we make the recommendation of approval to the board using the proposed conditions that we edited tonight. I was ready to move forward with that motion, but if we need another month to look, and are we meeting in a month?
Yes.
Are we meeting?
Actually, I set your agenda and advertisement earlier today. You will not have any public hearings next month. You'll have more of a work session type of meeting. We haven't had one of those in a couple months, so.
But next month, we could decide this case.
Yes, it would be August 4th.
Okay.
I think our biggest issue, and I could be wrong, is that this was not part of the public input.
That's my point.
Right. And so
That's why I'm not ready to
we
make the
brought-
motion right
we
now.
brought this up, yeah. So these folks have not had a chance to review any of the conditions that we
Right.
have decided to go. So we have a motion on the floor to forward, and Ashley, you're okay with us forwarding this till next month's discussion? Okay, so with permission of the applicant. Because of the time. Hold on, ho!
We're losing.
There's a time limit of when we have to, make a decision. Without her permission, we can't move forward again. We'd have to make the decision tonight. That's why we have to have her permission. Okay, she doesn't run the meeting, it's because we're gonna, if we don't, then she has the right to say, you all, she didn't get her quote-unquote time in court in a timely manner. With her permission, we can now move it to the next month to discuss. Yes, ma'am. So we have a motion on the floor
And second.
to move the discussion till next month, and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Brian? So I dare not say that we're gonna move on to old business? Okay. Is that okay with everybody, to push that till next month? All right. Do we have any, Brian, was
Yep.
there one other thing you wanted to bring up tonight, or?
One thing that, super quick. That's one of your items that will be coming back next month. Last night, Tappahannock Chevrolet went to the Board of Supervisors, the Tappahannock Chevrolet rezoning. The Board of Supervisors made motion, and it carried, to remand back to you all consideration of the rezoning on, and Lou was there, so
Yeah,
he
it's
can
Tappahannock,
fill you in also more. The concern that it's over 100 acres, industrial, and not conditioned. So today, and actually you saw the owner of Tappahannock Chevrolet here for a little while. We had some long conversations today about it. As you know, that has to be a very careful conversation, because I can't compel and you can't compel conditions for rezoning or proffers. So he's marked up a couple of uses that he would strike. I think what the board is looking for from you all, it does not have to be a public hearing next month, it just has to be an action. So you all can, in the interregnum, I'll send you this. He drew this up today. This is a plot, basically, the orange line you see depicted is where he would fall back to, just requesting I-1 in this area. I don't have an acreage on that yet. I'm thinking it's 40, 50 acres or so. So he would cut about half of his acreage of I-1. That seemed to be a concern last night of several of the board members, and also the expansive uses of I-1. Just like you've said ad nauseum tonight, if he got it to I-1 and for some reason sold it, and he could have a freight terminal back there, a warehouse, things like that. I think the board is just looking for recommendation from you all, if your recommendation would still say the same, recommending that, if that's a good idea.
But with these changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So in other words,
Split zoning with some
yeah,
conditions.
exactly.
This
We don't
board-
like split zoning, but in this case, a split zoning may have a compelling reason because of topography and et cetera.
So this board, because I was out that month, has already made the decision to forward to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Yeah, we
Correct?
approved.
Correct.
We recommended approval.
They looked at it and said, okay, that's great, but we think it's too broad.
Correct.
Now, they're sending it back with the recommendation, like you said, you can't suggest anything to the owner, but you might want to think about X, and he's since done that,
Yep.
right? And then will he be here next month?
I can make sure that
I
happens.
think he should be here
Yeah.
next month
Yep.
for questions. And it does not have to go back to public hearing, because
No,
y'all have already made a
no.
decision. They're asking for clarification.
Yeah, and I cleared this with legal counsel last night, that it does not have to be a public hearing, because you've already heard it, you're just
Already
modifying
recommended
your
approval. This is
recommendation.
Modifying the approval.
And you're gonna send that out to us?
I will,
You'll
yep,
email it?
indeed,
Okay.
yep. I'll be on vacation this coming week.
You'll have to cancel that.
No, I would be in big trouble if I canceled that.
Just a suggestion.
Haven't taken one in 2 years, so everybody's
I
pretty mad at
suggest you
me.
take it then, yes.
But the following week, we'll get y'all
Yes, sir.
straight on
That'll
these
be fine.
documents. Yep.
Any questions of Brian about that tonight?
The only other thing I'm gonna leave you, I won't even discuss it, we have the floodplain ordinance modified, and we have the comments back from DCR attached to that. I'll just give it to you for, in case you wanna fall asleep one night and read that. You can do that.
Do
Thank
you
you,
have a
Brian.
recommendation?
DCR had some recommendation of changing of language. I'm happy to say that it was mostly involving dates.
Okay.
So the main meat and potatoes is good. It was just a few dates that we had incorrect.
There's no hurry for us to take action on it tonight. We can do
No,
it next
in
month.
fact, we just have it set for you to discuss next month.
Okay.
No hearing until September,
All right.
at the
Okay.
earliest.
Thank you, Brian. Someone wanna make a motion for adjournment?
I just wanted to add a couple of things, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
We
sir.
just got through a drought. I'd like for the planning commission to consider stormwater management, rainwater harvesting, large-scale agricultural irrigation in our comprehensive plan. I don't know if it's too late to do that, but,
No, we can always add.
and then, August is always a great time to talk about parking lot solar. I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do, but, maybe we can come up with some kind of incentive programs. That's it.
So if you have, especially on the first one with the harvesting, if you have anything you can bring,
I've tried to pull some things together to share.
yeah, because I know that's your,
Kelly and Brian can distribute it.
that's your bailiwick.
Yeah, yeah.
Motion for adjournment?
I move to
So
adjourn the
moved.
meeting.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.